were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Regular dudes? What?
Stuff.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man's soul of faith.
Get your popcorn ready.
I was around when Jesus.
Welcome back to another episode of Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Appreciate you being at the channel. Never fear, Jamie G is here, and I am here with the Soup Deucer and Magna Mills to talk about stuff we've been watching. Our featured review for this episode is one of our all-time favorites, another 90s cult classic. You're welcome. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Soup, I hope you've got your golf shoes on. Otherwise, we might not make it out of this muck alive.
A lot of muck, dude. A lot of muck. I do have my golf shoes on. I came prepared, So yeah, hopefully we make it out of here alive, man.
And I don't know much, but I do know two things. One, if you're stuck in the middle of a reptile zoo, for the love of God, do not get booze to the goddamn things. And two, we appreciate you checking out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Thank you very much for doing so. You can find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff and on the web at dudeswatchstuff.com. Really simple, really easy to remember, just like the flaps. FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please hit the thumb.
Before we hit the road and head to Vegas, we need to take care of the other stuff we've been watching, starting with the holes in this house. Soup, tell us, what have you been checking out and filling your holes with lately?
Well, man, I was filling my holes with some old school stuff. I heard about an old school movie from the 70s, 73 or 78. So I think it was early 70s. Anyway, it was an old school horror flick that I haven't seen. I was like, wow, why haven't I seen this? And apparently a cult classic or whatever, called Messiah of Evil. So I went ahead and checked that out, and it pretty much lived up to it. It's really highly ranked in in that genre for people who like that kind of thing. And it was, you can tell it was definitely, a product of the 70s, as far as the way it was made and everything. But I think it was a bit ahead of its time, and it was a good watch, man. It was definitely cool. Yeah, other than that, that's the only thing that I had watched that I had not seen before. It was a good watch, like I said, but I did revisit Dirty Work randomly. It popped up there, and I was like, oh, that's always fun. So little Norm Macdonald, little Chris Farley, dude, a bunch of hookers and trunks. It's a good good flick, man. A lot of good moments in that one. So if you've not seen Dirty Work for some reason or whatever, and if you have, it's always a good one to go back to and check out, man.
Peak Artie Lang, it's either that or Beer League. I'm not sure which is Peak Artie Lang. Maybe Howard Stern in that same era. Also Peak Artie Lang, but I've always enjoyed Artie, so I am with you on there. And Dirty Work, it's been a minute. It's streaming somewhere. I think it's on Max or maybe Prime. One of them joints.
Definitely
it's been the algorithm's been throwing it at me as well. So shout out that and the Messiah of Evil. That sounds kind of like maybe The Last of Us. I am working on season 2, as I believe Jamie G is. Only a couple left. I don't want to say, oh, I told you so or whatever, but this is kind of what I thought was going to happen with adapting the second season. Looking back, if they were going to do 3 seasons, I just wish they would have done 2 off of season 1 and then 1 off of season 2. Or by season 1, I mean the first game, and then season 2, I mean the second game. It's still good. I'm going to watch it to the end, but if they were going to stretch it out, I just wish they would have done it more on the front end and then the back end. Still keeping up with Your Friends and Neighbors over on Apple TV Plus. This is the John Hamm joint where he's basically a rich dude who gets fired and he's got to rob all his neighbors to keep up with the Joneses. Very fun. I like where they're pushing it. It's been picked up for season 2. I think this is the perfect type of show that 2 seasons is probably about right, like 18 to 20 episodes or so. Very watchable, very fun, especially if you kind of enjoy John Hamm doing his thing. We'll probably come back around to that a little bit. Interesting show in that, like, the highs aren't really super high, but there's never a bad episode. Like, it's a really high floor show. As interesting as that is, like, there's no really bad episodes. Like, I don't know if that's damning with faint praise or whatever. Like, that there's not like crazy great episodes, but there's no bad ones. I don't know if that makes you more or less inclined to check it out. Also been checking out a bunch of sports. We are in the zone with the sports. You have NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. We have the Preakness, the PGA Championship. You have baseball going on. There was a Subway Series recently. All sorts of stuff going on. Jamie G, how are you feeling about the Last of Us season two? And what else have you been checking out besides the sports?
Well, just like season one, season two looks incredible. It's filmed. The directing is absolutely amazing. There's some really cool shots underground, kind of in Seattle. That's been awesome. I really enjoyed that. Some of the work that they've done with the clickers and the infected has been a lot different in this season than season one, which I really appreciate them evolving that and not allowing it to remain boring, or get boring, I should say, not remain, but get boring with the clickers and the infected. So really appreciate that about it. I think season one was so different in so many ways. You've got to kind of accept the fact that season two is what it is, and I've been enjoying it a lot. It's different. You miss certain aspects of season one, but it's still fantastic television. Really excited to see that through. Mills, I've also been watching and finished season two of Silo. Excited to see the season three and season four. It's been picked up. I love this show. I miss it. Like it's one of those shows where like now I finished it and it's like, oh man, I miss Silo. Really good television there. That I just if you haven't watched it, it's over there on Apple TV. Go check it out. Silo's a really good one. For the first time in a while, I watched a movie, right? One that we're not talking about on this channel. I watched As Above, So Below. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world to find. However, I really enjoyed it. It's kind of shot as like a kind of like a found footage type thing. Think a little bit like Blair Witch kind of, where it's kind of, somebody's kind of doing the filming like that's involved as one of the characters. But one of the awesome things about this is it has a little bit, and in no way, shape, or form am I comparing it to Indiana Jones, but it has a little bit of Indiana Jones in it, which I absolutely love. Kind of this, not treasure hunt, but kind of this, secret to life, kind of figuring things out, type thing, man. And it's filmed so cool, way down in the catacombs and in Paris. Really awesome. And there's kind of a big message there at the end that you get to figure out. So enjoyed that. And outside of those things, Mills, it's playoff time here. That's right, playoffs for NHL and NBA. RIP to my Caps. They did not make it out of the series with Carolina. Carolina played outstanding, really outplayed them the entire time. They lost two out of three games on their own ice. Just disappointing there. They were so hot to end the season, and just Carolina just whooped them up here in the playoffs. But been enjoying that. Also been enjoying the NBA playoffs. So we're enjoying a little bit of summertime sports here, Mills.
We like that, and I'm sure you're going to love that. It sounds like Ovi's coming back. Ovechkin's going to try to put that record is out of reach, maybe more out of reach than it seemed when Gretzky said it originally. I know this, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. Jamie G, we talked about this a touch. I have been up now on the studio. This is the Seth Rogen joint from Apple TV Plus. 9 of 10 episodes in the first season are currently out. I'm caught up. I know you were just kind of getting into it. This is really fun. The first episode's a little bit long. After that, these are like 25 to 29-minute, really comedic episodes. It's definitely somewhat meta. It helps if you know kind of the general basics of how Hollywood works, some of the actors' names, that kind of thing. But really, this is just kind of a really fun comedy. Jamie G, I know you said you checked out the pilot. What did you think about the studio?
I loved it. I thought it was great. Incredible side characters here that you get to learn about. Seth Rogen is Seth Rogen. He's really good in this one. I thought the writing was hilarious, and the cameos you get, and just kind of the meta-ness of it all with Hollywood. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a little bit of a long watch, but it's got an incredible needle drop at the end that I appreciate. And just very funny stuff here, man. So really excited to check out the rest of the season.
If you like Seth Rogen, you'll like it. But even if you're not a huge Seth Rogen fan, they do kind of dial it down a little bit. I think they're using him in like the best way possible. You can kind of use Seth Rogen. They just did a very cool kind of a award show. Like they had a drunk Adam Scott cameo. They just did a people accidentally take drugs episode. A lot of fun stuff going on with that one. I caught the first episode of Duster over on Max. This is the J.J. Abrams joint starring Josh Holloway from Lost. This is set in the 70s. And maybe the coolest part of this joint, it's shot like it's in the 70s. Usually J.J. Abrams is like the big mystery box joint. Like I don't really see that happening here. This is more of like a kind of like 70s Starsky and Hutch cross with Miami Vice cross with The Wire kind of deal. Very cool vibe, great soundtrack, promises to be a lot of great car chases. Very old school looking. So if you got the Max, very cool one to check out. Super, I remember you recommended the Murder Bot, right? You got to do a Skarsgård. This one is super interesting, dude. They released the first two episodes, and it plays almost like a comedy. It's really kind of weird and off-putting. I'm very curious to see where it goes. I didn't know this one was based on pre-existing material. Skarsgård's pretty great. I like the guy David Dastmalchian. He's the kind of best secondary character. The rest of the cast isn't doing anything. But this is very, very interesting. And because, again, you're looking at episodes in that 25, 30-minute range, they're keeping it pretty short. I think it's one I will keep up on. I'm also keeping up on the final season of The Handmaid's Tale over on Hulu. This is maybe like too relevant right now. Crazy 2 episodes left. I have not read the books. Obviously, it's a pretty big deal. This is just one that the pacing is again off. The first 2 seasons were pretty great. They kind of treaded water for a couple of seasons, and now they're having to blow through like 2 seasons worth of stuff in the final season. So I wish they had just paced it out a little bit better. And finally, I cannot say enough good things about the second season of Andor. This is, yes, a Star Wars show on Disney Plus from Tony Gilroy. But, dude, the last 6 episodes or so of this season, I mean, it's one thing to say it slapped. It's another thing to be like, the last 5 episodes of this series are rated 9.5 or higher on IMDb. No show anywhere has 5 episodes in a row rated that high. I know there are Star Wars people or whatever, but you could honestly watch this without ever watching Star Wars. I would say yes, maybe watch the first Star Wars, but honestly, it would almost be awesome to watch this, then watch Rogue One, and then watch Star Wars. So, huge fan of Andor. I feel the expectations were almost impossibly high. This is like a fourth season of Succession kind of deal. It's like, how the hell can they actually, meet this bar and make it happen? And I'll be goddamned if they didn't. So shout out to Tony Gilroy. Season 2 of Andor been going on for a minute. Also doing a rewatch of Rick and Morty. Season 8's coming out. Always enjoy Rick and Morty. Same thing for the Mission Impossible flicks. They're everywhere right now. That's the one thing I want to mention. Dude, like, why don't more people do this? If you have a new season of a show or a new movie coming out, why wouldn't you just, like, give it free to every streaming platform to try to get it out there? I don't get why more other people aren't doing this. This seems really obvious to me. I like how now you can watch Mission Impossible everywhere right now because they want people to go watch the new flick. Am I crazy, or shouldn't they just do this?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean,
you take the little L, right? Like you don't make anything off of from streaming for a couple of months, but then it gets way more people to go get excited about and show up and watch it, I think.
yeah, I feel like that happens kind of more than we think, or more than you think anyway, because like whenever something comes out and is related shit to it, it seems to pop up on my
more now. It's coming on multiple platforms now. It used to just be like one. Now I'm seeing the same thing actually come up on multiple platforms. So I think they're leaning into it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I'm there for it. Whatever. I'm generally, we're the type of people we're doing a show about it. We're pretty hyped to begin with, but maybe not a bad idea. Just saying.
Maybe not. And at the end of the day, we're just some regular dudes who have the best intentions when it comes to watching stuff, but unfortunately, we can't always find the time to check out everything that we want to. Life gets in the way.
It just doesn't slip my mind. It just doesn't slip my mind. It's just so hard to find. It just doesn't slip my mind.
And once you miss that initial window, sometimes it just slips your mind. Mills, why don't you tell us about something that you really, really want to watch, but for one reason or another, the opportunity just keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping.
You know what? I went to the numbers for this one because there are a couple I could keep going back to that I keep missing on, but this was a great one that somehow slipped beneath my radar. Haven't gotten back to it. It's called The Offer. It's from 2022. This is a 10 episode series from Paramount Plus, released way back in April of 2022. The idea is it's a series that follows the making of the original Godfather movie, the Francis Ford Coppola joint from 1972 for Paramount Pictures, produced by Paramount Plus. Great cast here: Miles Teller, Matthew Good, Dan Fogler, Bern Goman, Colin Hanks, Giovanna Ribisi, Juno Temple, and the showrunner creator, Michael Tolkien. You might have heard of him. Other writing credits for him include The Player, Deep Cover, Deep Impact, Changing Lanes, a couple episodes of Ray Donovan, and what's this? A little movie called Gleaming the Cube. So,
Yeah.
yes, the dude who brought you Gleaming the Cube does an awesome introspective look at how The Godfather was actually made, called The Offer. Again, out there on Paramount Plus. This one's a like 8.6 on IMDb. Well worthy. I do not understand how I haven't gotten around to this one, but I am going to do so, especially because it has that Gleaming the Cube endorsement. Jamie G, what do you got for us? Are you going back to the well with the same stuff, or do you have something as good as, something awesome made by someone who made Gleaming the Cube, or, something equally awesome?
I don't have anything nearly that good, but I'm going to do a little column A, a little column B, Mills. Last time we did this, I had two things that were on the list, and I'm really ashamed to say those same two things are still on the list. They were The Irishman. This is a movie based on one of my favorite books ever, titled I Heard You Paint Houses. It has an all-star cast. I mean, come on, dude. It's Marty. It's got the Scorsese here, dude. It's got the De Niro, it's got the Pesci, it's got all of them. Really love this one. Want to watch it. It's just 3+ hours long, and I have not done it yet. Also, I'm like the one of the last humans. I think me and Mills, unless he's gotten to it yet, have not watched The Wire. Wanted to get to that one and haven't. But for the sake of just showing you how quick time goes by and how little there is of it, I've added another thing to this list. Hopefully, next time we do this, one of the three will be knocked out. But I'm also going to put Dark Winds up on there. This looked to be a really cool show. I think it's over there on Netflix. Wanted to check it out. It kind of fits my vibe, man. I'm into this kind of like not like post-apocalyptic or anything, but just kind of like this like disenchanted state here of reality, and takes place I think on a Native American reservation. Looks really cool. Want to check this one out. Haven't gotten to it yet.
But Jamie G, I will also ring the shame bell for you for The Irishman. The Wire I can get, I'm still there because we are saving that hopefully so we can do a real show about it. Really appreciate it. The Irishman, you've literally been pitching this since it came out, dude. That's full shame, pal. Like, you can find 3 hours at this point over the last half a decade, I feel. So that one is worthy of the shame bell, I think.
Yeah, it is, man. Boo this man, dude. I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty
we're
bad.
saying boo. We're not saying boo earns. I think it's a full on boo here. The other two, reasonable, but at this point, dude, you got to do it for The Irishman. Super, what do you got for us here, man? What's something that's been slipping your mind? You want to check it out, and you can't seem to just grasp it. It's a little buttered up or what have you.
Yeah, I have a couple that are newer that are on my radar that I wanted to check out, and they're out there now, so it falls under the it's there. I wanted to watch it, but they're also something. They're also both shows that you mentioned in Duster and the Studio, but those are both on my radar of things I have not gotten to yet, but I hope I get to before they end, or whatever. So I'm looking to get on both of those. A couple of older things that I've not gotten around to watching yet that I really want to. First and foremost, being Fallout. Fallout's supposed to be really good.
It is.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Definitely want to get into that one, man. And then the other one is White Lotus, and I know those are both Goggins joints, but still, they're supposed to be really good, and I have not gotten into them yet, and I want to. So
Well, and the thing with White Lotus too, so Goggins is in season the latest season, but there's two other seasons ahead of that, man. So enjoy that one. That's a fun ride. You got 3 seasons
Yeah,
there
it's
to
more like an
check out.
anthology, basically. It's like an American Horror Story type of thing where there's like, maybe
oh,
one
okay.
character as a through line, but for the most part, it's a new cast every season.
I like that. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah,
See,
Fallout cool. Like I played Fallout
I loved
3
Fallout.
for the most part, but that show was it's really accessible, dude. Like you don't need to have played the games. It's got a really cool kind of like post. It's like a little bit of a cross between a Westworld and a Game of Thrones or something like that. Little post-apocalyptic vibe and very cool. Very well done.
Yeah, yeah, looking forward to checking that, man. I
Hey,
might.
you got Goggins and Jackie from Yellow Jackets. Can't go wrong.
Ah, nice. Yeah, yeah. Yellow Jackets is another one that I'd like to get back on. I watched
Yeah,
like
get through season three, dude.
whatever.
It's I think they're gonna land on five as the final season count. They just finished three, so they're kind of closer to the end than the beginning. So if you're not caught up on Yellow Jackets, that's another good one.
Yeah, something I definitely been wanting to check up or catch back up on. Yeah, that should be at the top of my list, or at least right there.
That's a guy. Lessons also cannibalism, dude. Just toss it in the soup.
Don't say too much. Yeah.
There it is, man. It is that time of the episode where we do fulfill our legal requirement to reference Archer. And you can thank Dr. Gonzo for that. I'm washing my hands of this particular deal here. We fulfill our obligations by offering you our sterling suggestions. Mills, give the people a recommendation for something to check out.
Could have gone a couple of different ways with this one. This is sort of random. I'm going to go with something I talked about watching, I think, when we first started doing this, and that's Confess Fletch. This is from 2022. It's not necessarily a reboot of the Fletch movies, but it's a Fletch movie that doesn't acknowledge what came before it. Starring John Hamm as Fletch. Very enjoyable. Been watching him in Your Friends and Neighbors. I've always enjoyed him since Mad Men. I think he is perfectly cast here as a Fletch. Joint's written and directed by Greg Mottola. He's got to start directing episodes of Arrested Development, wound up being a director of Superbad, Adventureland, and the movie Paul, also a nice underrated one.
Yeah.
Directed episodes of The Comeback, The Newsroom, and he's directing 2 episodes from season 2 of The Peacemaker. So we're excited about that. Some similarities here from the way Ham plays Fletch. Like he does, the same kind of smart ass one liner shit that Chevy Chase does, but he brings kind of his thing to it. You get Slattery showing up as his boss of the newsroom. You get a couple of good femme fatales. The cops opposing him are really fun. Roy Jones, especially, really great. It was one of those flicks that got screwed because it got dropped in a weird time because of COVID. So it never really got a proper release. They're still willing to make another one. It's definitely out there on Paramount Plus. You might be able to purchase it on Apple TV or the Amazon Prime. Totally worth it. Check out Confess Fletch, especially if you like the other Fletches. You don't need Chevy Chase for this one. John Hamm does super good. It's a very fun time. Just a very solid 90 minutes. You will enjoy it just like a solid 6. Jamie G, what do you have for a sterling suggestion, man? It's the employee row at the video store. What's your VHS of choice?
Absolutely, man. And we've been talking a lot about the Walton Goggins, who's been awesome. We've also talked a little bit about Graham Yost, who was the showrunner for Silo, which I just talked about is what I've been filling my holes with. I'm gonna go with another Graham Yost joint here, and I'm gonna do Justified. When I first started watching this, it was a Mills suggestion. I didn't really know what to expect. This has crept its way into my top 5 all-time favorite series. That's rare air. So this is way up there. I absolutely love Justified. There's 6 seasons available, and there's one little one season sequel spinoff. It is available over on Hulu. As I mentioned, developed by Graham Yost, it's based on the Elmore Leonard stories about the character Raylan Givens, particularly Fire in the Hole. This is peak Timothy Oliphant. I don't know that he could ever be better. And you get great Walton Goggins here as our guy Boyd Crowder. Such a great show, dude. It's so much fun. I absolutely love Justified.
Yes, I can never say enough good things about Justified, basically. That's pretty much, and it's super comfort food and it's super rewatchable. It's amazingly rewatchable for what it is. It is not necessarily super complex and it is still super awesome. Just like bourbon and ice cream.
Yep.
Soup, what do you got for us, man? What are you suggesting?
Well, hey man, I like both the suggestions here, man. Very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. I'm going a little bit off of that grid. Back to a movie called Dark City. Dark City was it's a bit of a mindfuck of a movie, and I like that kind of thing, man. But it's something you kind of forgot about, or at least I forgot about until recently. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that movie, Dark City, man. You got Reefer Sutherland in there. You got Jennifer Connelly in there, man. It's a good one, dude, and it's definitely one of those where like you don't know what's happening. It's cool. It's very dark, very mysterious, very cool twist at the end and all that, man. And it keeps you interested the whole time. You've just had a huge amount of action. What they do in this movie, you think it's like futuristic or whatever, which it probably is, but it has that weird vibe. You never really know what's going on the entire time. Anything, I mean, you have all your theories as you're watching it, but then when it all comes together at the end, you're like, oh shit, But very, very good one. I recently gave that a relook, man. And I saved that out of my holes and saved it for the Sterling because I thought that would be a good one to throw out there for people to maybe check out, man.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that. And the main problem with that flick is it came out at the same time as The Matrix. And because
Yeah.
it had a semi-similar premise about memory, I think it got underlooked. One I found on DVD, absolutely incredible. Alex Proyas goes on to do a bunch of other things. His series Devs, I absolutely love. Rufus Sewell there, dude. He's been in a lot of good stuff. Played the lead on the Man in the High Castle adaptation for Amazon Prime. He's on, I think, The Diplomat on Netflix now. Very, very good call, dude. I love that one a lot. Solid Kiefer, really weird premise. It maybe suffers a little bit by the effects of the day when they get to the tuning or whatever,
Yeah, the tuning.
but really cool, like mindfuck kind of movie, dude.
Yeah.
Right down there, peak Jennifer Connelly too. The great cast, like really, really super call, dude. I think that is in itself a very sterling suggestion. So, I don't want to pat ourselves on the backs too hard, fellas, but I think we did okay.
I think we did too. And we're getting to the point when the golf shoes become a necessity. So we need to establish a lifeline here just to be safe. To do that, we need to connect us dudes to the dude with 6 degrees of Lebowski. We always find our way back to the dude. Am I right? I mean, El Duderino here. Mills, what's the easiest way to get to the dude from Fear and Loathing?
It's actually very easy. In Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Tobey Maguire played the hitchhiker. In Seabiscuit, Tobey Maguire played Red Pollard, and Jeff Bridges played Charles Howard, and Jeff Bridges is the dude.
That was too easy, man.
Yeah, that's a little too easy and not necessarily fun here. How about finding us a fun way to get, let's say, from Johnny Depp to the dude?
All right, but you gotta do it at least Hunter S. Thompson style. So let's say here in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Johnny Depp played Raul Duke. In The Rum Diary, Johnny Depp played Kemp, and Giovanni Ribisi played Moberg. In Avatar, Giovanni Ribisi played Parker Selfridge, and Stephen Lang played Colonel Miles Quaritch. And in The Men Who Stare at Goats, Stephen Lang played General Dean Hopgood, and Jeff Bridges played Bill Django. Very cool name. And Jeff Bridges is a very cool the dude.
How about the other big star here? Can you hook up Benicio del Toro with the dude?
In Fear and Loathing, Benicio del Toro played Dr. Gonzo. In Fearless, Benicio del Toro played Manny Rodrigo, and Jeff Bridges played Max Klein. And of course, Jeff Bridges is the dude. Once again, very easy, but probably not much fun. So let me try for a fun one. In Fear and Loathing, Benicio del Toro played Dr. Gonzo. In Sin City, Benicio del Toro played Jackie Boy, and Jessica Alba played Nancy. In Into the Blue, Jessica Alba played Sam, and Scott Kahn played Bryce. In Gone in 60 Seconds, Scott Kahn played Tumblr, and Angelina Jolie played Sway. In Taking Lives, Angelina Jolie played Elena, and Kiefer Sutherland played Hart. And in The Vanishing, Kiefer Sutherland played Jeff Harriman, and Jeff Bridges played Barney. In Jeff Bridges is the dude. And yes, for the record, Ethan Hawke was also in Taking Lives and The Men Who Stare at Goats. So I could have just gone there, but this way, way more Jessica Alba and Angelina Jolie. So you're welcome.
And that's way better. Get your popcorn ready because it is time for our featured review.
This is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, directed by Terry Gilliam, on a screenplay by a very convoluted mix of Terry Gilliam, Tony Grisoni, Todd Davies, and Alex Cox, based on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. Produced by Leila Nabulsi, Patrick Casavetti, and Stephen Nemeth. Cinematographer was Nicola Pecorini. Edited by Leslie Walker. Music by Ray Cooper. Originally released May 22nd, 1998, on a budget of $18.5 million, it made approximately $40.1 million at the worldwide box office. Two big stars here, bright shining stars, Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro. The short plot synopsis is an oddball journalist and his psychopathic lawyer, or maybe he's just on drugs, travel to Las Vegas for a series of psychedelic escapades, in theory, to cover a motorcycle race. Soup, why don't you go ahead and warn us that this is going to be a full spoiler joint for Fear and Loathing and probably anything involving Hunter S. Thompson?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, starting at this moment, man, it's going to be a full-on spoiler discussion of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Also, anything else Hunter Thompson related. That means books. It could even mean where the buffalo roam, man. We might bring that up. Who knows? So strap on your golf shoes, man, because it is getting deep in the muck of spoilers here.
We are so deep that we might need those waders and possibly one of them tails to put on to I don't know if you use it as a rudder or whatever. Not quite sure how that works. Let's kind of get into it with our overall thoughts, maybe starting with just what we think about the flick, and especially kind of relating to the first time we saw it. This was a weird one that I think I saw, not necessarily weird, but right kind of after it came out. Like, this is 98-ish. I think I saw this 99, 2000-ish on DVD for the first time, like right at the beginning of DVD in college. And it blew my mind, man. Like, it was just like a perfect convalescence of the music, the visuals, the story. It hit me in a really interesting time and made me think about things in an interesting way. I mean, especially when you're going to college, right? It's all about, the American dream, what you're going for. You're going to go to college, you're going to get a job, you're going to buy the house, you're going to have the 2.5 kids, the two-car garage, what have you. It really just hit me in a way that, flicks hadn't before that. Like, I like movies, but this is one of the first ones I think that really impacted me in a personal way. Jamie G, how about yourself, man? You got like a little, you got a Hunter Thompson shirt going on here. I think you probably have a certain level of personal connection to the flick. Like, can you think back to the first time you saw, kind of overall thoughts on it, and earliest memories of watching it?
Yeah, I definitely would. I definitely remember watching this. I think I was a senior in high school, maybe, just trying to figure out what the world is and how everything works and what you're supposed to do. And you watch this movie, and I remember the first time I watched it, I didn't know even how to feel or how to process any emotion about it. It had everything. It had everything from like roll on the floor laughing hilariousness to some things that you rather not see, to just make you feel like, oh man, I don't like that, to other things that are just so weird and odd and overarching thoughts and theories about kind of life. And it was wild, man. I immediately had to watch it again. And I remember that being the thing where it was like, whoa, that was crazy. I got to watch it again. And this became one of those ones that the more you watched it, the more I fell in love with it. And then you start to fall in love with Hunter S. Thompson, and that led to the book, right? Reading the book, and then that led to having 5 or 6 of his books in my in-home library, and reading them and appreciating him as a journalist and all the things he did. But yeah, I mean, starting off, I think a senior in high school, and this was one of those movies I immediately had to watch again. Just wild, just blow your mind wide open with this one.
That's a good point. Something I'm sure the soup juicer will enjoy is that's one thing Hunter S. Thompson is fairly famous for. He doesn't really have a filter. For better or for worse, he would put it all on paper, record it all, put it out there. Soup, I know this is a big one for you. Like, kind of overall thoughts here. Do you remember, kind of when you first saw it, how it holds up to this day, kind of what it means for you here? Overall thoughts on Fear and Loathing to the degree that it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, this is a huge one for me. This is a story that has kind of made a lot of changes and impacted my life in a lot of ways, and just the way I see things and do things and look at things, or at least and I think it carried over through the years anyway. I mean, when this first came out, I was already familiar with the story because I already read the book and shit. I mean, I knew about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas before the Johnny Depp movie. I'd also seen Where the Buffalo Roam before this movie had come out, you know. So I kind of knew what I didn't know it was going to be as good visually, but I knew it would probably be, you know, a little bit more modernized than what they tried to do back with Bill Murray and Where the Buffalo Roam and stuff, you know, because of the technology and stuff that they had then. But yeah, I loved it, and what I really liked was Terry Gilliam. That was one thing I remember like right away. It was him, and that he didn't use a script. Or, I remember hearing that like almost right away. That it was like almost directly from the book, and which it pretty much almost 100% is. I mean, you're right there around 90% of just book, which is awesome. Um, but yeah, when I first saw the movie, it was one of those things where yeah, it blew my mind, and it was great. It was just it was way better than I thought it would be, and I immediately owned it and had it on like repeat, like a lot over a whole bunch of years, man. And since that had come out, then I'd also read the book more times. And it's just one of those that really that's really been a special story to me. Since my later or my earlier years out of childhood into adulthood, this is one of the ones that helped kind of mold who I am. And look who I am now, man. So there's just so much here, on that level of things, but it's also a way deeper story, movie, book, whatever you want to call it. The story, I like to call it, it's also a lot deeper than that, because it is Hunter Thompson, and yeah, it is him, going on a crazy road trip, getting fucked up beyond belief and shit like that. But what came out of it was this incredible story of chasing the American dream and his vision of life as he knew it.
Yeah, contemplating it.
I mean, you'd be crazy now. You'd be to now ride this torpedo all the way to the bitter end, dude. I mean, like I love the fact that he was able to find. It wasn't even what you originally thought, right? With the bike race, right? He actually found it through all the other experiences and left an impact in which was the story, the book, through all the things that you didn't really think were going to happen as you take this on. And that's what's so cool about it. Just the way he lived, and the way he approached things were just.
The cool thing about this one is that he used to write for Rolling Stone and shit. He would just take on any random like journalist jobs and stuff like that, and sports writing and that kind of thing. And that's what this was. It was on an assignment to go to Vegas and cover what was
the mid 400.
400. So yeah, a motorcycle race or whatever. And obviously that's not what the movie's about. It's a very small part of it because it branched off into a ridiculous drug frenzy or whatever. But that's kind of what the story was, and that's kind of almost the point behind finding the American dream in whatever way you can find it. You might be going on in one direction and unknowingly, whether it's drug related or not, end up somewhere else. And in this case, obviously most of it was or all of it was drug related, which comes into play a lot of the humor and some of the borderline horror aspects of where this movie could have went, or elements of it could have went. So it really does a good job depicting all of that stuff.
That's what it comes down to, though, right? Like, you kind of have to believe in something, and once you do, or if you have beliefs and they're shattered or whatever, you turn to somewhere else. And in here, it's not insane that they have turned to psychedelics to try to figure out what to make of this world, especially coming out of the late 60s, the way the flick is framed around Vietnam. And that's not crazy. He's dude who grew up with multiple Middle Eastern wars, and it always seems like someone's at war now. So I know that the Vietnam was especially kind of tuned to this one. But, Hunter S. Thompson's always had a very clear voice and a very distinctive voice. And I think it always makes it interesting to comment upon because he never holds anything back. Again, there is no real filter here, for better or worse, even if it makes him like look bad. He is willing to go there. Overall, I think it's a great story and exploration despite the dark parts of it. Do you like, and it's probably not even fair. You know what? Let's be honest here. It's a great story. How lucky are we that this wound up in the hands of Terry Gilliam? There were other ways this could have gone. We've talked about Terry Gilliam a little bit with 12 Monkeys, but he's obviously, from his Monty Python days, not only a dude who understands kind of a heightened reality, but a dude who knows how to shoot things on a budget. And I think that really makes the flick work. Soup, any thoughts on Terry Gilliam here as, the director and, one of the driving creative forces?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that anybody would have done it the way he did it, and totally just went as true to what it was supposed to be as possible, and being able to put it on the big screen. And I thought about this before, like if anybody else could have done it, or if it couldn't have been Terry Gilliam, who else could it be? And my only second thought here is maybe Oliver Stone because of what he did with Natural Born Killers. But other than that, I don't know, man. I mean, it's this is a tall order, man. And it's got to be somebody with that kind of, you got to be that connected with this story to be able to do it. And it wasn't just him. It was everybody involved in this movie. I mean, Johnny Depp and Hunter Thompson hung out. I mean, Hunter Thompson's the one that shaved his head, for the movie. I'm sure we'll talk about their relationship and shit as we go on, but it's just the way, everything behind this.
But no, I think that's correct to bring it up here because that's part of what makes this works, right? It's a weird symbiosis where it's a very specific story to a person in Hunter S. Thompson who connected with Johnny Depp on this level where they maintained a relationship throughout the rest of their lives. I believe Johnny Depp, built the cannon that Hunter S. Thomps's ashes were shot out of.
Yeah,
And
they
that
were
he didn't
super
want
close.
anybody to.
Like that was, I mean, Johnny Depp method actor. Like this is peak Johnny Depp right here. And he
Well,
wanted to
he
die.
lived with him.
He lived in like Hunter's basement or some shit. and
Yeah,
just
they
like,
switch cars and everything too.
Yeah.
Like they did, yes, a lot of it, like full method acting.
Which is awesome. I mean, you can tell too, because how else
Crazy
would,
part is just Johnny Depp looks so young. When you see real Hunter S. Thompson, he's a little bit kind of beefier. You know what I mean? Like a little bit huskier of a dude. So in retrospect, it's crazy. I'm so used to hearing Johnny Depp as Hunter S. Thompson. When I actually hear the real deal, sometimes it feels off because I'm so used to Johnny Depp.
it's very
Jamie G,
close,
what do you
though.
think here?
Yeah, first of all, this movie would have been incredibly hard to direct and film. And I think Terry Gilliam did such a great job with all the things that made it come to life, especially some of the crazy, psychedelic scenes and stuff like that. Like you kind of need that. But it was also the ability to kind of go back and tell and fill in a gap with something that happened, going back to the Pogo Lounge and cutting it back, all the different things that happen here, some incredible needle drops at poignant times. The way you film some of the people, as faces were doing things. I just think it's so hard to do. And the fact that he nailed it, it really give a lot of respect for him here, man, because I don't think as great as Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro were, I don't know that we could have gotten there without Terry Gilliam.
This feels like one of those cases where it's a perfect alchemy, right? It's just the right people, the right thing all coming together at the right time. The behind the scenes stuff is kind of a nightmare. Like this is one of those joints where it really is like not even a minor miracle, but a major miracle that it happened. At one point, an animated version of this was possible. And while I think there, could be some interesting things there, especially if you're going to go into the Ralph Steadman drawings and really lean into that aesthetic, but this is just it's so much fun, but it questions your belief in literally the American dream, the whole thing that we're built around, right? Like that's why there are movies, because there is an American dream and people are willing here to be able to spend their disposable income on it. And I think that's kind of what Hunter Thompson was always kind of on the edge on. How about Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro in general? I think we all enjoyed the Terry Gilliam, obviously. This is, I think, right at the beginning or in the middle of a stretch where Johnny Depp goes absolutely crazy, but so does Benicio del Toro, I think, topping out with an Oscar, I believe, in Traffic. So this is a great cast. All of the cameos, especially minor roles played down somewhere. Think about Christopher Maloney here, just in that random role. It's kind of like Bronson Pinchot way back in Beverly Hills Cop, right?
Yeah,
like that just
exactly.
kind of level of role. So I
Wasn't
think
his
just
name
extremely
Sven
well
too?
done.
The same name?
That's Serge.
Serge. Yeah,
Serge.
That's right. Damn it, I was close. All right.
Close, but Sven and Serge, I would watch if those two were roommates in a perfect stranger situation, I would watch them.
Yeah, for sure. They look alike, dude. I mean, yeah.
But seriously, I mean, this is like two great actors that I think are basically at their peak. I know both have continued to do good work, but man, and both of them do again right after this, like do award-winning work. So I think it's just a great job of casting in just
Oh,
super cool to
Benicio is
watch them do
killer,
their
dude.
thing.
I mean, yeah, Benicio del Toro did such a good job in this movie, man. I mean, think about the not only the physical aspect of some of the shit he had to do, you know, like, I guess you could call it physical comedy in some regard, like some of that, but I mean, his presence and the way he
I'm
delivered,
scared of Dr. Gonzo a lot of times. Like he's supposed to be menacing, and he really is.
yeah, a
Yeah,
little
he
bit
is menacing.
menacing, yeah, very unhinged, you know, a little bit, definitely dysfunctional, man, you know.
Oh, dude, the one scene where he's just, I think when they first check into the Mint, and he's just like, they're doing all the room service shit, and and then Lacerda comes in, and he's just sitting there, like, just at, like, at a table, like, just, with the sunglasses on, just looking
We're on to you,
Yeah,
man.
intimidating.
We're
they're,
on to you, man.
they're on
Yeah,
you.
dude, he was incredibly
I know what
paranoid,
you're up to, man.
absolutely out of his mind, and extremely menacing, waving a blade around, doing crazy stuff. But then at the same time, he would come out at a time when Johnny Depp's character, Raul Duke, Hunter S. Thompson here, couldn't handle it, and Benicio del Toro's character, Dr. Gonzo, finds a way with his law slang there to be able to talk himself out of something or into something to make it happen. So it seemed to work. They were a good compliment, but I thought they both were absolutely crazy, and they both showed you humor, and both showed you some of the scary parts of like, yeah, you probably don't want to do those things because you're probably going to end up crazy like that. So I thought it was really good to kind of see both sides of the coin with these guys.
Too weird to live, too rare to die.
There's
Bingo.
no way you can challenge either dude's commitment to this flick, right? Be
Yeah.
it, Benicio del Toro gaining the weight or Johnny Depp going all in and letting, as you mentioned, Hunter S. Thompson shave his head, which at the time was a very award-winning, like, Johnny Depp was kind of a heartthrob or whatever, letting someone shave, the old school male baldness pattern into his head probably wasn't the most award-winning way you could have gone.
Playing the role, dude.
Yeah, but that's what makes this flick the way it is. Everything like that, like even the look of it, you get the car thing, the red shark there, that's actually Hunter S. Thompson's car. Let me just ask you, if you had to pick one, Soup, Jamie G, would you rather drive the red shark or the white Cadillac? It's probably blasphemous, but I'm gonna go with white Cadillac, dude. That white caddy was sick. Jamie G, red shark, white caddy. What are you driving?
White Caddy was absolutely awesome, but I gotta go with the Red Shark, dude. I got to. It's legendary.
I figured. Soup, how about you, man? Red shark, white caddy. The way he describes the white caddy, again, that's that Hunter S. Thompson verbiage, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
part of the deal because everyone can like describe something, so it all comes down to the way you describe it, and he just uses words in a way that most people don't. And I think that's what
Absolutely. And he
makes
puts
it
it
so
like,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, of course. That's why going into this movie, I was nervous about because some of the things that he describes or says throughout the course of the story, you're like, how are you ever gonna make me see that on film, or on TV?
It was considered unfilmable. I mean, it's kind of manic, certainly at times, and dark at others. But there is some humor, and I think Terry Gilliam again perfectly suited to do this the same kind of way we talked about 12 Monkeys before, which is at its heart a little bit of a dark film, but you could go either way. But he brought such an interesting, visceral way to make it real
Yeah,
and still fun. You know what I mean? Just kind of wild and stupid at times where you would laugh out loud about all these crazy things. And I think that's kind
I
of
mean,
what
it's
you're seeing
hilarious.
here.
Yeah, there's a lot of very, 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 very funny moments in here, and some moments that are super hilarious, and a lot of people will never understand unless they've done some of this stuff in the suitcase behind me here. But that's part of it too,
Yeah, well, I'm not
It's
sure, how much they allocated into the suitcase. Obviously, the wardrobe here is crazy. All the setup, they recreate as much of Vegas as they can. But the wardrobe was mostly, at least for Johnny Depp as Raul Duke, drawn from Hunter S. Thompson's real wardrobes, and it's a very popular cosplay, and he looks cool throughout the whole episode. I think the weirdest thing is when you see him kind of in a suit without the hat. He's really bald and everything. But I mean, Dr. Gonzo, obviously the Acapulco shirt in the car with the belly sticking out is, famous and actually one of the few cosplays, Halloween costumes I can pull off. So I'm very fond of that.
I think it was kind of like there was that one moment at the beginning of the movie where it was the big reveal, and no, it was in the bar. It took that long. It was in the bar where he finally took his hat off, and everyone, oh shit, there's his shaved head, you know. And I remember that being like a thing when the movie came out, Johnny Depp with the shaved head, you know. And yeah, and he spins around. It's like a moment, you know. And he takes the hat off and he spins around. It's boom. There's that reveal, you know. It's right before he starts really tripping balls and seeing the lizards and shit. Right before the reptiles see.
Yeah, the lizard bar, dude. We'll get into that in a second. Just the overall wardrobe here, they absolutely nail it. Like when I read the book, I'm in the spot where I saw the movie first, then read the book. But this is still, I think, exactly what you are really thinking of when you're reading it or watching it for the first time. A nice little shout out here to Ralph Steadman when Tobey Maguire is the hitchhiker, jumps in the car. He's wearing the Ralph Steadman design on the T-shirt. So just another cool one here. And at various different times through the flick, they call back to the Alice in Wonderland stuff. They fuck with the lighting in the hallway when they try to go back for the first time to the Mint. Like it's all messed up, like it's red tinted. It's almost like kind of the Shining. Same kind of thing when they go into the next suite. It starts out, it's all pink carpet and everything, and they absolutely trash it, and it just gets darker and darker and darker and darker. Just so much fun visually in this flick. So
Oh,
it's not
absolutely.
just a flick about like people doing drugs. Like they're very cool visuals, and they build on top of each other in a very real way that's set up.
Well, see, that's another thing, man. Like people look at this movie and like, oh, you know, you take acid and you see reptiles. Yeah, it's not really like that. You know, I mean, I'm not going to get into a psychedelic drug lecture with everybody here, but I will say this: like little things that people don't notice about this movie, like you noticed just then with fucking with the lights and shit like that. That can that kind of stuff happens. You know, if you're taking psychedelic drugs or whatever, and you go into a place, it's the little things like that that first really start kicking everything off. You know. And it's not always, seeing, faces and pavement rippling and shit like that, but it is those little subtle things like why is everything amber right now, or whatever. And you just know, those first rising vibes coming up your spine, like, that's another thing that, he says shit like that. It's on point, dude.
Much like anything else, there's a lot in between, like the craziest good shit you've ever seen and the craziest bad shit you've ever seen. And
Yeah.
most of it probably happens somewhere in the middle, but it's always like heightened. And I think that's what a lot of the best stuff in the flick does is it heightens it just a little bit. Because that's the idea. Like they can't even like find the American dream, so they're gonna like just get to that point where you're browned out, you're blacked out, and somehow like you're almost gonna stumble onto it by accident. Because
Yeah,
that's the only hope, right? Like you can't actually find it if you're looking for it.
exactly, man. It's kind of got to find you, but you got to be on the quest. And then you're on a quest for something they have no idea where it is, and then it finds you. But you got to be on the quest.
I just love the idea that Johnny Depp and Hunter S. Thompson got so into this. Like the idea they even exchanged cars. Like imagine during this if you had just like either you've been on either side of that. Like you're some chick who like hooks up with Johnny Depp while he's driving Hunter Thompson's car, or the chick who hooked up with Hunter Thompson while driving Johnny Depp's car. And he did write a story about it, and that's just it just adds to it so much. I just wish we would have gotten more from Hunter S. Thompson. Actually, even more adaptations with, Johnny Depp. I know we got Rum Diary as well, but, I wish we got more of this really.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely, man. But I wouldn't want to overkill it either. I think this is probably where Rum Diaries was good. It's definitely a better read
Rum
than.
Diary is a lot different of a story,
Well,
though.
here's the thing: is like, yeah, and you go into watching Rum Diaries, and like I didn't, but most people who have seen this movie and stuff, they're going to go in that thinking it's going to be like a part two of this, and it's not.
Oh, yeah, not even close. Not even close. Yeah, I read, obviously, reading it, helps a little bit before. And another one that has a great soundtrack, and honestly, it's almost too high of a quality of a soundtrack. The main thing to take away is that they want to get sympathy of the devil, really referred to in the book, the Stone Song here. Couldn't get it, so they went with the alt here. But other than that, man, there are a ton of classics there, right down to obviously,
Yeah,
throw the joint in the water when White Rabbit beats.
Jefferson Airplane, dude. So let me get this straight.
Let me make sure I've got this all lined up. You want me to throw this thing into the tub when White Rabbit peaks? Is that it?
I was beginning to think I was gonna have to go outside and get one of the goddamn maids to do.
Oh, dude, I'm old enough to remember when you turned the volume up with the physical knob you rolled. And the push buttons, that does more for me now when this first came out. Because in 1998, that was still fairly common in schools and stuff. Now you never see that old school style tape recorder anymore. And probably very deadly, but
Yeah, I mean, 98, you're right there on DVDs, but I had this movie on VHS and then later had it on DVD, you know. And the book's been out since what? I remember this book when I was like,
72-ish, I think 71 or 72, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I first checked this book out. I was, you know, maybe a junior somewhere in there in high school. Like we're talking like 93, 94-ish or whatever. When I first was like, hey man, let me check this book out. You know, somebody had turned me on to it and told me about it, and that's how I discovered Fear and Loathing as the book. You know, that's how I discovered Hunter Thompson. So.
Yeah, man, it's that verbiage, like a classic affirmation of everything right and true in the national character. A
Yeah.
gross physical salute to the fantastic possibilities of life in this country, but only for those with true grit.
We're chock full of that, man.
No one writes like that. And I think that pure voice is what's important. You know, that what makes it different and what gives it, this long standing,
Yeah.
ability to still connect and honestly hold up at least as well, maybe even better than it did in 1998. Like this late Vietnam shit, like really feels more relevant now than it did in 98, to be perfectly
Well, it did. I
honest.
mean, think about when this takes place, right? You've got Nam, and then you've got the '60s of kind of like the peace and love, right, and all the protesting, and then the war and the protesting of that. You had the whole hippie thing. You've got the music scene exploding with the Dead and other groups, and like right now we're in a situation where people feel like their rights are being taken away or whatever, and there's all sorts of protesting, and we're at war, and it feels like at any day the earth could, human race could just end, and we're racing towards that with AI and everything else. So it's just like I think there's a lot of relevancy to this today as people in the current year, ponder and wonder about what exactly they're doing, on planet Earth, right? Like what exactly is the dream? What should we be doing and how should we be doing it?
I think that's extremely relevant, especially in the era of Dodge or what have you, when people are trying to argue what your job is worth. Like, what do you actually do? And you have to prove it. I mean, think about that. Like what's the whole fucking point of this all, man? I think some people are realizing like they do jobs that basically exist just to like check a box more or less. And they called this out a long time ago when it was not nearly as prevalent. But how many more middle managers are there than we need right now, man? Like it's just kind of like whether it's not you roaming around Vegas and like this drug frenzy, but maybe that's what it takes sometimes. Just realize, like, dude, like I don't need 8 people to tell me what the hell this thing is. And I mean, maybe that's the point of Office Space, and we're just coming back around to it. And Office Space was the most prescient of it all. But this is, I think, right there in the idea that the American dream was something that felt inherently promised to us, and they have not delivered on that promise. Soup, anything else that kind of, on the overall themes here on, really what, Thompson, is going for?
Yeah, I don't. I'll get to that in a second. But right now, I'm thinking about, man. You got me thinking about this promise to the American dream. You're right, man. It was. It was like common knowledge. Everybody knew you were supposed to get. I even forgot. It was so long ago now. But
Dude,
I
you
think
used to be able to pay for college by working a summer job, and
I
you
was leaning
could,
more towards the thing of like I never got it. I didn't even get. Well, I did. Well, I went to. I mean, yeah, okay. I did go to school and shit like that. But anyway, I'm saying like the original American dream. You get the promise of the American dream, and you're supposed to get the mule and the acre or something, right? Or 2 mules in an acre, or 2 acres in a mule, or whatever the fuck. I never got any of that shit, dude. I don't own any land. I don't even have a. Well, I mean, I have a dog, but like I didn't get the government didn't give me a mule and an acre, man. So
I think the idea, at least for the most part, used to be that like every generation would be better than the one before them, right? So you would be better off than your parents. And this was not the case when this was written, but now I don't know that that's the case anymore. Like you're getting into generations.
Yes, you're supposed to, every generation is supposed to be better off, right? Like you're supposed to do more to make your kids better than you are. And the government was never supposed to give you a mule and an acre, but what they were supposed to do was guarantee your right to earn a mule and an acre
Okay,
through
fair
work
enough.
that you
Yeah,
want
I'm
to
not. I
do.
wasn't looking for a handout. I've worked my whole life and stuff, man. So, but I still like working my whole life and whatnot,
But
man.
that's the American dream. That whatever you want, you could get if you're willing to do enough for it.
Oh, so I have to
And
get my own mule and an acre.
Right. And then, but then once you start doing it, then I
Fucking
think
fine.
that's what the fear and loathing is. Like once you get into it, it's not as easy as it seems. And sometimes it comes down to luck. If you do this one thing right, you make that one right decision, you're good. But if you don't, it could go the other way. And then you're just kind of stuck. And I, that's, I think, always what this flick has been to me. Like, because no one really wins, right? There is no winner, there is no loser. It's just kind of contemplating, like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Well, that's kind of cool
It
because
makes me
yeah,
feel better that they don't really have a much better idea than I do.
there's no winner or loser, but there's also like no game. You know, it just is. Hey, we're here. You know, there's really no battle. There's no villain in this movie.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, whenever rooting for them to win a poker contest or something like that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. You know, that's another thing that's cool to point out, man. How many movies are there, let alone movies on this caliber of how good they are, that have no villain? Like, there's no nemesis, no villain, nothing. You
yeah, there is no real antagonist other than,
know.
well, drugs, that could be the antagonist
That's
or
your
the
own self.
protagonist,
That's
really.
your
So,
own
yeah.
self, though, man. You know, and that's a good point, actually. That's that probably what it, you know, when
Yeah,
the
I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, really, most of the vibe stuff you can't complain with. It looks great. Even the weird choices they do, like the bits when they are riding through the cars, they do an old school projection style, so you can tell it's really fake. But honestly, because of the drugged up nature of it, I think it just adds to it, and it looks, obviously way better. I think than faking it with CGI back in the day would have been. In the soundtrack, I know they couldn't get sympathy for the devil, but honestly, they pretty much nail all of it.
soundtrack's incredible.
yeah, okay, so yeah, yeah, we'll get into soundtrack, man, for sure, because this definitely has an A-list soundtrack on it. But with the sympathy for the devil thing, there's a quote in the movie where he even says no sympathy for the devil. But they ended up going with Jumpin' Jack Flash,
Yeah.
and that was killer at the end, man. At the end credits.
Works both ways. They just couldn't afford it, but I'm sure going back on it, the Stones would have let them use it because, again, I think pretty deep into the cult classic here. Jamie G, what do you got to add here, man? Anything else on kind of the themes, the overall arching aspect of Fear and Loathing? I mean, that's I think the beauty of the flick. So many people could take so many things away from it, so many years in the future.
Yeah, all that. Completely agree with everything we said. Not a ton to add here, other than I think the one thing is that we didn't really mention yet is just how rewatchable this is, how rewatchable it was when it first came out. I mean, I've probably watched this movie over 100 times for sure, and I feel like it's still rewatchable. And you pick up different things because of how cool it is with all the different wildness going on, and it's so much is happening that you can miss little things here and there. So every time you watch it, you seem to kind of pick up something new, which I really appreciate. But also just the voiceover here, right, of which was right from the book. Some of those quotes and stuff are just so, you forget how great those are. So the rewatchability is a big one that we didn't talk about. I think is huge.
Rewatchability is definitely huge, man. This is a movie I've seen many, 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 many times. This might be the movie I've watched the most ever. I think it probably is. If not, then I don't even know what's in second. Like, yeah, it probably is the movie I watched the most out of any movie ever, man. But yes, super rewatchable. And even on this most recent rewatch, it's been a minute since I had seen it because I don't watch it like I used to anymore, but there was a period of time there where I used to watch it every day. It's all I would do was work and come home and watch Fear and Loathing. I know it sounds fucked up, but yeah, I had a fucking weird time in life, man, and Fear and Loathing was there. But anyway, so so yeah, on the recent rewatch, it was because I hadn't seen it in a minute. That was like things I had kind of forgotten about, but now oh yeah, I remember that. Because I expected to just remember everything, but there's always a couple things, even though you've seen it hundreds of times, you forget about that, or it just isn't right there when you're thinking. It takes seeing it to remember it and be like, oh yeah, that too, you know. So it's full of these. It's full of this movie, just chock full of all kinds of shit, man. Especially True Grit.
Yeah, I just love the concept that this was just supposed to be like this little story about, the mid 500 or the 400, whatever. And then it ballooned into this whole thing where like they didn't even know how to publish it. Like he went off and did this, and that's the whole point, right? You don't know what is real, what isn't. It deliberately kind of blurs the line, and that's what makes it super interesting to watch. I know there are a couple, spots it's slightly uncomfortable where, from what I read, Hunter Thompson kind of took ownership of the idea. Like, look, I'm gonna do drugs. Not all the decisions I make under drugs will be good, but I'm going to try to, do the best to do my job and what have you. So, I think that's kind of the main thing here, but I can understand why this flick isn't for everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And I think most people, even if they're not people who have done psychedelics or have experienced things or understand some of the references of just drug nature or whatever, I think they'll still find it funny. If you watch this movie with like somebody who's like, never done anything, I think there's still parts of it they're going to find funny. There's going to be an awful lot of it that they're going to find very weird. And even if you have done all this stuff, it's still going to be very weird for you. So I think it's somewhere in the middle for most people, but it has so much to it in terms of both the humor, the overarching kind of lesson, the incredible, just the voiceovers are so good in this. The acting's great. It's got action, it's got a little bit of everything here, but it is really troubling. And there are certain things where you're just like, wow, this is scary. I don't ever want to. I mean, this, they should have showed this in like back in the day where, the Say No to Drugs campaign. I think there would have been some people who would have been like, oh, I'm doing them because of this, but there would have been a lot of people who were like, I'm not doing them because I don't want to, that's scary. That's not for me. So it's kind of an interesting take on it for sure. But it's so much more than just a drug movie, but it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. No doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure. But I think I mean, I think a lot of people can enjoy it with or without, and that's kind of the cool thing about it. You don't have to, I mean, this isn't something you have to, get high to watch or understand. You can still understand everything about it, except for maybe some of the, uh, feelings and weirdness of how you react to some certain like situations under certain influences and whatnot. Aside from that, there's no real way to explain that or depict that other than doing it. Everything else, I think anybody can pretty much understand. And this is definitely a very cool movie for the masses if you're willing to take it in and learn about it. I mean,
Maybe it's a bit personal, but one quote I've always taken to heart is
There he goes. One of God's own prototypes. A high-powered mutant of some kind never even considered for mass production. Too weird to live, and too rare to die.
is that bad or good that I kind of refer to myself in that way?
I mean, I do too. So
I think we all do.
I think it's pretty common, man.
So it's good, like quietly good or quietly bad? I'm still
I don't
not
know. I
sure.
think that's the thing.
If we all agree, no, that makes me actually less sure as where that is.
It's
Yeah, I don't know if it's good or bad, man.
I don't either, and I think that's the point.
I like to think
But
it's
the
cool.
fact that we have that, I think there's something to it, and it's got to be more good than bad. That there's probably a little bit of both in there.
The one thing I will admit to is that I don't know a ton about Timothy Leary. There's definitely some reference to him in the flick that I'm not like entirely up on. I get the idea that they were kind of contemporaries, especially in the acid culture, but it's something that seems to mean a lot, but doesn't quite land with me as much. Any of y'all, Soup, anything on Timothy Leary?
Well, I mean, I could definitely. I mean, we could talk. We could do an episode about Timothy Leary, dude.
Oh, I would assume at least in one episode, yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's something that people are necessarily need to know about. 'Cause I think the only reference in this movie where he mentions Tim Leary is something about what was it? It was in a narrative, right? Like when he was speaking in his own
Yeah,
mind.
it's in the big one. Yeah, it's one of the big monologues out of at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end,
yeah.
like about like the why Leary not necessarily betrayed the acid culture, but left him in a place where it was hard to move on from.
Oh, that's the one where he's staring out the window and it's like the water. It was always one of my
Yeah,
favorite
where the
quotes.
water receded. Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of. That's the end of that, like that big monologue. But that's why it's hard to like refer to that as like your favorite quote or moment or something because it's supposed to mean more, especially in Hunter S. Thompson coming out of the Vietnam War. Like this was a big thing, and we've had the Iraq wars, you have the Afghanistan war, 9/11. We've had things, but I think even now, like it really feels like you're on the precipice of something. So I think what he was going for just lands really true to this day.
yeah. I mean, we're still here, man.
We're
That's
hoping it's not the high water mark, but you worry it is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You never know when that high water mark's gonna, because another wave's gonna. But I mean, I watch that happen all the time on the beach. That high water mark, dude. You never know when the highest one's gonna be, because it could come up higher. It could, every day's different with the tides and shit. But anyway, whatever, man. Yeah, I get it with the high water mark. It's very cool. But what I was saying, yeah, I think that's the only reference in this movie with the Tim Leary thing. I think if you want to learn about Tim Leary, then look up Tim Leary and learn about it, man. But other than that, you don't really need to know that much to understand where this movie's going.
Yeah, you really don't. Little background helps. Like the idea that you've referenced this a little bit in Where the Buffalo Roam. Bill Murray played Hunter S. Thompson, and he actually talked to Johnny Depp before playing him and said, just after this, make sure you do something different. Otherwise, he'll stick with you. And I kind of like the idea that playing Hunter S. Thompson is stuck with both Bill Murray and Johnny Depp to date.
Yeah, absolutely. They never got rid of it, dude. It's like yeah, man. They got that. There's no coming from that, dude.
In Johnny Depp, especially, I mean, he landed on the, part of Captain Jack Sparrow is definitely, there's Hunter Thompson
Captain
there for
Jack, yes,
sure.
not in. It's funny because I would say not in really Blow or anything right after this, but yeah, Captain Jack Sparrow, I'll buy that.
And Bill Murray's had fucking little hints of it his entire career too, since then. Same thing with that. But it comes in there as part of them now, as part of them. They're not full on every time just that character, but it's in there, man. It's part of them now, man.
Yeah, it was probably a little Dr. Gonzo and Benicio del Toro's character when he won the Oscar for Traffic or whatever. I feel like there was a little Dr. Gonzo in there.
I'd like to see more Benicio del Toro, man. Like, I haven't seen him.
Yeah, no, I would like to see more of both of these actors.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that Terry Gilliam basically said, you know what? I want this to be a flick that people either love or they hate. Like he was not going for a middle ground here, which I think was impressive. And I think he mostly succeeded in getting it, on the good side.
I don't really see anything wrong with this movie.
Yeah, but you could people who like it are going to love it. People who are kind of on the fence are kind of be like, it's too weird. So he kind of, I think he achieved in that. I don't know that there's a lot of middle ground where people are just going to be like, yeah, it's good. It's either
right.
like
There's no point in taking a
like,
middle position on this one.
Whether you
wasn't your
like
thing.
whether you like it or not, I think you have to respect that it's done like perfectly, pretty much, man. I mean, like, is there any flaw in this movie as far as the way it's put together? I mean, if there is, it's very finicky.
I completely agree with that. And honestly, like the original casting, like it was apparently Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando were originally considered for Duke and Dr. Gonzo. Like, so Nicholson is Duke, Marlon Brando is Gonzo. I guess that's I could buy that. And then Aykroyd, John Belushi, same thing. Okay, but
if
I'm
Nicholson
very
got
happy.
if Nicholson got Hunter Thompson out though, like, I can see him doing it, but man, imagine his post career from that. Like, where would he have done? Like after,
Would that mean he started doing too much or too little cocaine? Too much
Yeah,
cocaine at that point.
I mean, I could see him doing it because of what he did with the Joker, though. So I think he's got it in him.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's got that kind of crazy face, the crazy smile. But Depp does it so good; it's hard to really go another way with it. I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even through
I
like
don't
John
know that.
Malkovich out there, John Belushi. But yeah,
The one thing about
I'm
Jack
very happy.
Nicholson is he's always had, he's got his voice, like, I don't know that you could,
And Nicholson's
Johnny
got
Depp made
voice,
this Hunter S. Thompson's voice.
Yeah.
And that's what was, it's harder to do than you think. The mannerisms and all the things, that's one thing, but the
Here's
voice.
fucking something to think about, man. Think about Jim Carrey doing Hunter Thompson, man. See,
He
that
might
would
be
be
able to.
too fun. Yeah, but it would be too like a much of a caricature.
Right.
I think that would be good on like a sketch, like you could do a sketch comedy or something.
Yeah, I
That would
mean, he
be,
did Andy Kaufman, so I know what you're going for.
or
So,
a fucking like or imagine Mike Myers, trying to do Hunter Thompson. That might be cool. Yeah.
all right. So, I think that's a lot for the big picture there. Let's just focus on some of the fun stuff. The film kicks off, not necessarily right at the beginning, but the story kicks off at the Pogo Lounge, where they get a phone call, and this is a kind of a cool scene because you get Cork Herbert here. He's uncredited as the bellhop who delivers the phone, but he was also a bellhop in Where the Buffalo Roam, so that was a little callback to that. I also love the idea when he's chasing them out because they're dine and dashing, that he just gets hit by the door and falls down. So that was very cool. As was when they pull up in Hunter S. Thompson's like OG ride there. It's that horrible shit kicker ride, literally with Rolls Royces in the background. All that opening shit always just very fun for me.
Dude, I love the idea of a waiter bringing you a telephone on a tray, like it would be, a steak.
Connected to a line, so not a cordless, still
There's a
connected
lot of
to a
cord
line.
going on there, dude. Long cord, a lot of long cord over there, man. I got the cord for days, but yeah, and you got to worry about trip. That's a trip. That's a situation where people could be tripping and falling, dude. You got cords running across the dining room patio, outside seating, customers walking around, man. That's a liability for sure, dude. Phone cords and extension cords and shit. Just, I mean, you can't just have that with people walking around, man. You know how much slip and fall on a fucking concrete damn whatever, Anyway, man, I'm on a tangent here, but anyway, we were talking about, yes, that scene was awesome. The dude did a great job. And yeah, one day I want somebody to bring me a telephone on a tray, like a steak plate. Yes. Yes. Why not?
And kind of the first bit of the voiceover and how well it's going to work here with that. I think that's the other thing too, because the voiceover where you're kind of acting out the scene, but you're hearing Hunter S. Thompson's voice, like that's where it works so
If the
well.
narration doesn't work, the flick doesn't work. It's
Right.
Right.
incredibly
And this was
crucial.
kind of the first part of it where you're like, all right, they nailed it. And they end up nailing it the entire movie.
Drinking Singapore slings, man. Mezcal on the side, dude. It's important. Yes, you got to have that narration, man. It's got to be on point. And the cinematography has to carry you in a way where it translates to where it doesn't interrupt enough that makes somebody want to not pay attention. Split second. Okay, it's just super smooth, yeah, super smooth, and it's fucking awesome, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, you keep everything active, super smooth, and you get all the kind of narrative out here to the point. It's always my favorite that the drugs are really easy to find. The hard thing is like the typewriter and the tape recorder. Yeah, that shit's easy, dude.
Yeah, rounding them up, dude. I mean, that's and I gotta say the car scene where they get the
Yeah, we'll
car.
get to him when we do our kind of favorite supporting character rankings, but I think we're all big fans of that entire scene there when they're getting the rental car.
Yeah.
Both scenes. Obviously, rental car very fun to do for comedy, but not so much fun if you're actually working the joint. How about Backcountry itself? This is very famous. You could spend a lot of time on it. Obviously, like, oh, can't stop here. This is Backcountry. I've always loved the idea that even when he goes into the trunk there to check out the drug collection, he had the fly swatter hat. It was handy. It was already there, so he was ready for the bats, and then just that last shot of the bat, just kind of flapping. The shots of the bats and the sunglasses, it all works for me. I have no complaints there. It all works for me.
And it's the first kind of hilarious moment too, and followed by a bunch of really hilarious moments. And this one was something I'll always remember, kind of the first laugh, the first big laugh of the movie. And yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you think he's talking shit, and then you see the actual bat on the ground, and like, well, is he talking shit?
Right, right.
fucking brilliant,
Wait till
man.
you see them goddamn bats, dude. I mean,
Oh, the shot in his sunglasses where the bats are coming up and kind of the eye twitches and everything. That really sells it. In the idea of the drug collection, obviously, this is one of the more famous things where he opens it up and moves around. All I have to say is, why was he hiding booze in that suitcase? If he would just took the booze out, totally legal, way more room for drugs.
Well, it's not legal to drive open container though, so
No, but he could have had pints of rum and whatnot in the back, in the trunk.
Once you get
Way more
locked
room
into
for
a serious
drugs, dude. You
drug,
know how much room drugs per capita or booze per capita took up in the drug suitcase? Way too
a
much
lot of
room.
room, dude. But see, here's the thing, man. There's a direct quote. Once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as we can. So, if you're gonna cram your fucking booze in there too, man, dude, squeeze her in, man. Or that could be the
It's
mentality.
very cool looking. Don't get me wrong. I would love that as a cosplay or as a Christmas gift. If someone wanted to, maybe not exactly that. I don't know where you get the emails or whatever this day, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, just the way they set it up, and then the hitchhiker. Obviously, Tobey Maguire is just great here. So twitchy. All of the looks. I think this is where Johnny Depp really sells it, right? Especially when he gets in the back seat with them and just kind of grinding it out, and just like the dude's like, man, maybe I didn't need to ride this bad.
Dude, that whole situation is so gripping, entertaining, and hilarious from the beginning. That it's just there's nothing like it doesn't stop. It's just like, and the movie opens and it's the car, and it's that speed the entire time. At least through this first beginning part, and it keeps with it. The pacing is in. Again, back to the production of this thing. Yeah, pacing is fucking awesome, man.
what I love too is you get him in the back seat and you start to kind of see, and what I love too is when he's like, "Did I say that out loud?" And he's saying it, and you can see it in the mirror, and it's so
He's really
funny.
just
That's not
thinking
the
it,
first,
right?
yeah.
And
You
who
thought he was
hasn't been
thinking
there?
it, but he's
Have you not ever
totally.
been as fucked up to be like, shit, man? Let it
But I
say
say, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great where he's bury our heads out here. The Tobey Maguire thing is perfect. Like he's so weird and like and like it's just such a weird thing. I big fan of it. And you start to see the humor, but you also start to see kind of the freak outness of Dr. Gonzo and the menacingness of Dr. Gonzo when he slams the beer down and he's like, "Don't touch my neck," he freaks out. He's like, "This man's got a bad heart" and all that. So you start to see some of the craziness erupting here, which was wild. And you put yourself
Well, he
in
did spill beer all over him, man. I mean, he freaked out
don't
a
touch
bit.
his neck, man.
I mean, the man is heart conditioned, dude. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, angina pectoris, man. Yeah.
Dude, when Tobey Maguire bails, like the idea, like just Duke just grabbing for him always kills me. Like the idea, like he didn't even want him in the first place. Then when he tries to leave, he tries to grab him, and then it's all right. We gotta get out of here before we get to the cops.
He's like,
And then just
"What a
keep
bastard."
escalating, right? It's like, all right, now we're gonna take a bunch of acid, so we gotta get there before the acid hits, and then Dr. Gonzo trying to blow the coke off of the suitcase.
Jesus! Did you see what God just did to us, man?
God didn't do that. You did it. You're a fucking narcotics agent. I knew it. That was our cocaine, you pig. You fucking pig, swine, whore.
Better be careful. Plenty of vultures out here. They'll pick your bones clean before morning.
Well, there's no, there's obviously the wind's blowing. It's and I love he's trying to get him with the, he gets him with the fly swatter when he's not looking.
I think it's, dude, you got to be a little better than that. You should know in a convertible to maybe not empty a salt shaker full of cocaine onto a fucking briefcase with the fucking windows down and the convertible open, man. Driving at like 80, 90 miles. Who knows how fast you're going?
Especially pre-mescaline, pre-ether. I mean, he's pretty sober, all things considered. This
He's
might
not
be
even that
about as
fucked up
sober as
yet,
he gets.
dude. Oh yeah, man. So yeah, dude, that would definitely at least roll the fucking windows up or something, man. You got to be better than that, dude. So that's his own fault, man. But whatever.
Yeah, it reminds me of a T-shirt I saw from the '90s. Only users lose drugs. I mean, this is just fun, right? It shouldn't be, but we got dudes obviously out here doing bad things, but it's so much fun. And then they pull up to the mint. They're gonna check in, and we get a very very famous scene in the background while this is starting. Actually, there's a dude on the phone, and if you listen, he's basically talking about somebody getting their adrenal gland stolen, which is where the adrenochrome comes from later in the flick. There's a deleted scene that would have referred to this. But obviously, when he's checking in here, dude, it's never easy to take the the card from the valet guy. But when he is checking in, and he sees the front desk lady, and her face turns into, I always thought it was a shark, but they refer to
An
it as
eel.
an eel. That's just crazy, and I think absolutely classic.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. It's the first time you see like that kind of seriously, like super
Yeah, you
serious.
saw the valet's mouth, like they started messing with it. I thought the way they led up to
the
the
carpet
visuals
in
was kill.
there.
Yeah,
Yes,
it started slowly and then they built
Exactly,
up to
right?
it.
yeah, this is great, and I love that he's like, he's holding the typewriter. He's got all the stuff. He's super like sketched out and paranoid and twitchy. He's like, I was pouring sweat.
Right.
Nevada's way too hot for his blood. And he gets up there and he's like, my attorney. You start to see all the mannerisms and all the stuff. Just peak performance here by Johnny Depp.
Yeah. But
Name, rank, and press affiliation. Nothing else.
Name, rank, press affiliation. We need to check into the suite.
I have my attorney with me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it,
must have
Johnny
that
Depp.
suite.
That definitely nails. Like even here, like Gonzo comes back, he's like, "Oh, don't worry, he has a bad heart," which is exactly what he said earlier when he gave him the email.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just that solid writing there, and then the reptile bar again, always a favorite. When he walks in there and he's all kind of messed up and he's doing the weird shit, he's looking in the mirror and he like steals a light from the one guy. I don't know why, but I always love them. Always like, ah, get out of here. And he just kind of shoos him away after he steals the light.
Well, he's
I
got
have
the
no
broken cigarette.
idea.
He's trying to light the busted cigarette and shit, dude.
I have no idea why, but that little moment, it's so stupid. And then even when they get to the bar and they go for the whole thing at the end, when he goes to leave and he just falls off the bar at the end. I don't know why, but both of those always just kill for me. I love the reptile bar.
Dude,
Yeah,
it's
just
like,
don't feed him
yeah,
booze.
I mean, and you hear like in the background, oh, I'm really starting to feel that drink, all this shit, and it's like echoed just
Yeah, the
again, the
conversations
little
between the
thing.
people in the background and everything. Yeah.
How this movie's put together. Those are the things like, man, you'll notice like that's more likely than seeing a reptile. Is like noticing weird shit is happening way over there, and all of a sudden now you have like a seventh sense on hearing or something, but who knows if it's real or not. And then you're back into like something else. It's more likely that something like that happens than like seeing a reptile zoo. But hey man, it could take you to wherever it takes you, man. It's up to what it does. So
For what it's worth, I have been with people in the bad place before, and like here, he's like, "Oh, eat some peanuts, it'll make you feel better." I've done that before, but with Captain
peanuts,
Crunch.
man,
Just
they're
eat some
good for you.
Captain Crunch, you'll feel better. Just
Captain
one at a
Crunch,
time. Eat the Captain Crunch, you'll feel better. It
Well, yeah,
worked.
I don't see. You know what, man? Maybe more bars should have a bowl of instead of pretzels and peanuts and shit. Captain Crunch, dude. Why not? Who doesn't want Captain Crunch with a fucking pint of beer?
Or just Captain Crunch in general. I mean, I think that's pretty fair. I love the little bits we get when they check into the suite initially. You get the joint on the wall where it's like the bomber dropping the shit, and it's like shoot it. No, I want to study its habits. I've always
Right.
loved
I
that
know,
that
seriously.
little line, and the
There's a
idea that they're
large
just
metal
gonna.
snake in the sky, dude. It's yeah.
Yeah, dude, you got to
Kind of
study
like,
its habits. What else would you really do anything else with that? And again, just setting up Gonzo being so kind of like off-putting and tough with both room service, and then when Lacerda comes up for the first time and you meet him, just so much fun when they do the bit. We start turning into kind of the general yelling. I always love that.
Kawasaki. Lacerda is one of those characters, man. When he comes in, he's just like that guy you do not want to meet. Like if you're tripping your fucking balls off and Lacerda walks in, you're like, "Oh, I got to get this guy out of here, right? I got to go away from this." Just because he's just got weird, annoying, like you can tell right away. And then they show it, they show that they portray that in like a perfect way. I mean, he's sitting there talking about the bikes, and dude's like crammed down behind the whatever, just like peeking out and shit, like you know and he sees like the whole Vietnam thing happen behind him or the whole war thing happen behind him when he starts listing off all the the bikes and whatnot, and he's all like just gung-ho about it and shit. Just perfectly fucking directed on a lot of different angles, man. Like everything about that was top notch, man.
He's just ducked down behind the thing. Just, I mean, imagine how weird that would be if you're totally sober, you're excited, you're reporting for duty, you come in, you got one dude who's just like scary as shit, mean mugging you, making you feel really uncomfortable, and another dude who's ducked behind like this little bar thing, like trying very hard to avoid, like your words are like attacking him, and he's like bobbing and weaving.
Right,
Such a
yeah,
weird
yeah.
thing to walk into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that could be the theme of this movie. There's a lot of things that would probably be a little bit weird to walk
Weird
into.
to walk into,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Look
Just
at the
Fear and
skyline.
Loathing in Las Vegas, weird to walk into. And how about when they actually go to the mid 400? Dude, This is how great of a place is this to work, other than the fact that, those of us who have been up all night, we're in the mood for a coffee, not in the mood for coffee and donuts. We wanted, something a little bit stronger because
Need a
they are
strong
the
drink,
absolute
dude.
cream of the sporting press. This is peak Vegas, though, right? In the midst of all this, and a temporary tent, there's still, table games. You can still gamble. So good. And then, of course, all the dust. Just all of the dust
Dust,
everywhere.
Lots of
Just
dust,
this,
dude.
A lot of dust.
so good. Can you imagine that? Just sit next to the guy at the bar and he just like moves and then just, all that dust migrates into your beer.
Man, he did the whole with his damn whatever the fuck,
More like Sunday, man.
Boy, what day is it? God damn it, what day is it?
Saturday, more like Sunday.
My favorite bit has always been how hard Duke is working to cover up his beer, no matter what's happening. Even when they hear the machine gun fire, the dudes on the dune buggy show up. His main thing is covering up, but it doesn't really matter because at the end you get that famous shot of him just kind of pouring out the sludge. If you're gonna fire somebody, don't fire them before they give you a ride back to civilization. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he definitely premature.
Yeah, if you're gonna fire Lacerda or whatever, like, take me back first.
Big fan of his look here too. He's got the bandana, but he made a way to cut a hole for his smoke thing. It just absolutely great.
Yeah, man.
It's everything with the dudes in the dune buggy, man, because that's kind of like, oh, we're real Americans, like we're friendly, dude. Sporting press, like there's so many fun little bits
What
in that.
outfit you fellas with?
All of that always kills me. Rich and real, dude. Jamie G, you might remember him as the warden in Barry in season 4, and also dude from Office Space, the jump to conclusions, dude.
Yep, he jumped to conclusions, dude. Absolutely.
Total coverage,
jump to
dude.
conclusion map. Great.
He's got
fit
total
here.
coverage.
Yeah, great fit here, and again, one of those great little cameos that just works out so well.
After that, they do a little bit of drugs and they wind up on the sidewalk in front of the place where the Debbie Reynolds show is going on.
What the hell do you think you're doing? This is not a parking area. You've got to move your car.
You can't park your car here. Excuse me, sir.
What?
You can't park. Hey, you can't park your car here.
Why not? Is this not a reasonable place to park?
Reasonable? You're on a sidewalk. It's the sidewalk.
It's not a parking area.
Debbie Reynolds, you can't park on the sidewalk. Seems like a hot ticket. What?
Like, I can never do that, dude. I'm so envious of the way they could just like, yeah, I'm gonna park on the sidewalk. It's cool here.
Like, obviously, anybody with any common sense would be like, probably not a good idea, but they're like, fuck it, whatever.
Is this not a reasonable place to park? Just a great response to, you can't park your car here. And then again, the way it's shot where you just hear that in the background, and then he's just like, they're both like, Gonzo's still like ripping out magazines and stuff, pages from the magazine for coupons. He's clipping coupons, and then yeah, and Raul
He had a powerful lust for fucking. He had a powerful lust for salmon or some shit, right?
Powerful. Sorry, they get to this Debbie Reynolds show, and then Dr. Gonzo kind of harangues the guy like, all right, we're gonna get in. We know Debbie. We all this. They get in. The conditions are, all right, you have to go in, you can't yell, and you can't smoke. That's it.
And stand in the
By
back.
my count, they do not cut away. They show them walking in. It lasts 11 seconds. When they come out, they're both yelling and smoking.
And laughing their ass off. And a great needle drop here as they're rolling around, getting kicked out. There was no way they were going to make it, dude. They're absolutely out of their minds. And there's no way that they were going to make it by staying quiet in the back and not smoking. Yeah, that lasted 11 seconds. It lasted 11 seconds.
You would think that they would have figured that out based on their parking spot, but maybe not necessarily. And how about going to, you want to call it Circus, but Bazooko's here. When they go in there, everything kind of sets it off. Obviously, when the mescaline's not working, that's when you got to get the ether. Everything at Bazooko's is just really fucked up. I've always loved at the end when they're on the bar that keeps spinning and Gonzo's trying to get off and he can't bring himself to do it. That just so good. And then even them trying to get out, just kind of the staggering and this is a spot we could probably spend, an hour on in itself, but I love everything here with our, first visit to the Circus Casino. There will be another, but
It's the perfect visual for what they're doing in this movie. And it just works so well because it's so freaking weird and bright in strange colors and a lot of chaos going on all around you, and it's just the perfect fit. I love just them trying to get in after they do the ether, and they keep trying to, it makes you behave like the village drunk in a 1950 Irish novel. I mean, they can't even walk. It just, it's going to be bad, but visually I just think it's so cool because there's so much craziness going around in there. It fits exactly what they're trying to do with this movie.
Soup, any thoughts here on, everyone trying to kind of get into, Bazooko and all the craziness that goes on within?
I think it was very well portrayed here, man. I mean, those places, like, I mean, I've never been to wherever they're at over there in Vegas, but I've been to like circus-ish kind of shit, so I get the vibe and stuff, and it definitely like made me feel like, okay, I'm in this, like, it did it right about like trying to get that, element of being able to relate to it, because most people have been to some kind of carnival circus something, like, in right there you get that feel for you're gonna see a clown, or you're gonna see somebody like painted up in something, or there's gonna be weird shit, so and that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, old Vegas was different, man. No doubt about it.
I think that goes with any place really, man. Like, I mean, you see changes over time, 10, 20, 30 years, whatever. Things are different. Anything from parking to different things that are structures and whatnot that used to be there. The vibe of communities, everything, I mean, anything can change over, you know, time, decades and whatnot, so.
I mean, I like gambling, but I don't know that there's any time where just having a random like clown next to me like increases my willingness to gamble.
I really don't want to gamble in a circus. I think it
Yeah,
gives
yeah,
people
yeah. So I think you
like,
need maybe rethink the circus thing a little bit. Like, yeah, I like they had Vern Troyer there. They had a Penn Jillette there. All very fun stuff. Obviously, Dr. Gonzo getting the fear. That's always one of my favorites and one I definitely use sometimes. Like, I don't do the Irish accent. I just tell somebody like, "Yo, I think I'm getting the fear."
getting a fear.
Great one, dude. And I do think that going to a carnival is in a way gambling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's usually at least pretty cheap though. It's like a low end. Like, you don't lose that much though, because it's not that expensive. It's like going to a county fair. Dude, I always loved when they go back to the mint and they can't get into the room, mostly because they're on drugs. But he's like, "Yo, dude, I can't believe they already changed the locks on us anyways."
It's a
Because
lot
I've
of
been there before. I've definitely been in a hotel where someone couldn't like get in the room we paid for, and they're like, "Dude, I can't believe they changed the locks on us."
Yeah,
ready.
this part's funny as they're trying to go down and get in, and it's funny, it's weird, and anybody who's even been drunk or hammered, sometimes it can be hard to make your way back to the room, right? Especially, look, these are not the first two guys to go to Vegas and maybe do a little bit too much fun, right? And so it can be tough to get back to your hotel room sometimes. So certainly resonate with that one.
Yeah, it can be very tough to get back to your hotel room sometimes. And I mean, honestly, they pretty much destroy their hotel room. They flash back for a second here because of the Lacerda thing with the scene with Cameron Diaz in the elevator, which is fine. She doesn't do much. Very peak Cameron Diaz. She asks, what do you ride? And she looks great, but you really get the idea that, yeah, Dr. Gonzo, she's probably not that into you.
But it's also more of his menacing psychoticness. Like he really believes in his heart, like she fell in love, man. Like he really believes that in that
Oh, yeah,
moment.
he really believes it.
And it's
And that's what
scary.
makes it, yeah, that's what makes it extra scary when Duke comes back up from the casino floor where he plays a little bit of roulette or whatever, when he is in the tub and he wants him to, drop the joint in with the peak of White Rabbit, and he winds up, throwing the grapefruit at him or whatever. But that whole scene is incredibly intense. Probably one of the most, famous scenes from the flick. But I think rightly so, correct? I mean, it's crazy.
It's way up there. It's crazy. It's scary. And it's kind of like, dude, I don't know about you. I wouldn't want to hang out with Dr. Gonzo, man. He's too much. But it's that
I'd want
whole
to hang out
scene
with
is
Dr. Gonzo at the bar in public with, a lot of other people. I would never go up to him with his room, up to his room.
no, dude. So definitely a crazy scene. It's iconic. It's weird. It's well acted. There's some humor in it. It's a wild one, dude. It's a wild one.
I mean, it's legendary. It's one of the more hilarious situations in that opening part of the movie there, or the beginning part of the first half of the movie there, man. But it's something that I think you wouldn't want to be in that situation, man. But I've seen people do crazier shit, and that's saying a lot because that is pretty crazy shit what's going on there. But people not in their right minds or whatever, man. I mean, you never know, So I think it was, funny, and I think the reaction to it was great. And what he actually did was, like the perfect thing, just like throw a fucking grapefruit or orange or whatever, and be like, boom, peace out, But to be in a violent-ish situation, like a potentially violent situation like that, is scary. If you're in a psychedelic situation as well, so you don't really want it to go in that direction,
Terrifying. Yeah,
But
that's horrible.
again, you got to never know. I mean, you always got to think that you never know. So you just got to play it right. And I think he kind of played it right. But either way, I mean, both of them are fucking out of their minds. So you never know what happens.
I always love the visual of Duke just pulling the cardboard box over his head, like, like just trying to sleep, like maybe this will help. Stuff
Yeah,
instead of
right.
blocking it out, they just like kind of puts a box over his head. I've done that before with like just pillows or blankets or whatever, thinking it was going to make a difference. And
I mean, we've all had a situation, maybe not like this, but where like something else, like whether it's a roommate or you're on a, you're staying.
yeah, this is like the most heightened version of that.
And something's going on in the next room, man. It's keeping you up, and you're like, "Fuck, man, I just got to get some sleep," or whatever, So I think anybody can relate for whatever reason or whatever I think happened to anybody over the course of their lives. Man, could probably have a situation where something else on a kind of almost scary level kept you awake, with people yelling and whatnot, whether it be whatever the fuck. So yeah.
My main thing to add was on rewatch, the funniest fucking thing that caught me was when they're arguing in the bathroom. Duke's main objection to actually throwing the tape recorder in is that like he'll have to actually tell everyone what happened then.
Have to explain things.
Yeah,
Right?
they'll have to explain.
Like he doesn't want to have to
things,
explain
dude.
things, dude. Like that's really that's the main objection here. I thought that was great. And then that kind of leads us into the flashback to the San Francisco in 65. I'm pretty sure he was smoking crack out of a light bulb. Is that what was supposed to be going on there? I'm pretty sure smoking some kind of drugs out of a light bulb. But everything with the flashback scene, that's one of my favorites in the flick. Obviously we get the cameo from the original Hunter S. Thompson. You get the joint with Flea and the stockbroker in the bathroom there with LSD. Everybody wants somebody to
What's
love.
the trouble, man? Yeah. All this white stuff on my sleeve.
Holy shit, and the reaction to him seeing himself is just.
I recall one night in a place called the Matrix. There I was. Mother of God. There I am. Holy fuck. Clearly I was a victim of the drug explosion. A natural street freak. Just eating whatever came by.
That stockbroker, I think that's another thing, right? A little bit we talked about the themes of the film. That idea that somewhere, just behind this one door you can't look through, other people are doing, all this crazy shit, even if it's just drugs off this Red Bull.
Hopefully his life is ruined forever. And the fact of knowing.
My main problem is, what was that dude doing at that bar in the first place? Everybody else looks like a kind of hippie and they're partying, and they're just one random suit dude, like in the bathroom.
Right, yeah. Random
Maybe he
suit
works
comes
next
in,
door.
man. He was working a 9 to 5er, dude. Had a tough day at the fucking car dealership or the whatever the fuck,
He just must work next door. Dude, one of my favorites overall is Duke when he tries to dip out on the room service bill from the Mint. Because Gonzo just leaves him after all that. He's left there by himself, little Z on his forehead, no less.
Yeah. Well, it's great writing because he says it earlier.
Yeah, it sets it up. One of my favorite things, man. He's in the elevator going down. He's carrying, his typewriter and just trying to hide in the corner and get small. And then he's pulling out, and dude just keeps trying to talk to him. And in that moment, I relate so much because how many times in your life you've been trying to I just want to get out of here. I just want to get out of here. And someone won't quit talking to you. They won't leave you alone. Like, God damn it, man. I just want to leave.
Yeah.
Dude, I can go on and on about this kind of thing, man. There's been so many times where I get cornered in a small space. Yeah, I can totally relate. Been there lots of times. Being cornered by somebody talking to you about something while you're trying to do something else probably, sucks. And it's not like an interesting conversation, man, something you don't even really want to respond to or talk about or anything, or like whatever, indifferent, just an annoying situation, man.
Especially when you're trying to skip out on the bill. Like that's always maybe
You got
the worst
anything
time.
that you already have a prior, something you're focusing on, and then something like this comes in and it's just annoying you from what you're already doing, Why are you standing here talking to me about something I don't care about? I'm doing something else, I get it.
And that leads, obviously you don't want to pay your bill, so he gets the fuck out of there. And that leads to one of our favorite scenes as a group with Gary Busey, where we explore the psychology of getting away from a state trooper, a state patrolman.
Hey, good morning. How are you? All right, man. Doing very well.
Few people understand the psychology of dealing with a highway traffic cop. Your normal speeder will panic and immediately pull over to the side. This is wrong. It arouses contempt in the cop heart. Make the bastard chase you. He will follow. But he won't know what to make of your blinker signal that says you're about to turn right. This is to let him know you're pulling off for a proper place to talk. It'll take him a moment to realize that he's about to make a 180-degree turn in speed. But you will be ready for it. Braced for the G's and fast heel toe.
Everything about this is great. It seems kind of apt that apparently Gary Busey asking for a kiss was a ad lib, but honestly, this is so great. The only thing I don't get, he does all this shit, he gets away, and then he just still has the beer in his hand. Like, really? Like, you're gonna do all that? You're gonna get out of the car with the beer in your hand still? That's the only part I don't get. But
and he's waiting
other
for
than
it.
that,
He's waiting for him with it in his hand.
Like, why would you? Just the way that Busey chases him around and he kind of runs away, like throughout the whole thing, and he still lets him go. And dude, how much shit did they steal from the Mint? Like, just bullshit. They steal so much shit that's not worth anything.
I carried 2 cases of soap. So.
And also, like, why is there a phone booth in the middle of like a junkyard or whatever when he eventually talks to Dr. Gonzo? And this is probably the thing that fucked me up the most the first time I watched the flick. I can't believe that in the midst of all this, Dr. Gonzo gets real fucked up, drives to Vegas, flies back to LA, flies back to Vegas, and gets all fucked up again. He gets driven to a plane and then gets flied back to LA again. Just shows you what money can do for you.
Yeah, man, for sure, dude. And I mean, back in the day, there were no cell phones, dude. So there's phone booths, man, like working phone booths. But like, I can imagine the situation. Like, how do you plan that? You can't even like text somebody and be like, dude, be at the phone booth so I can give you a call. You just gotta hope somebody's there to like, man, what do I reach him at the fucking Polo Lounge and the fucking, like,
right.
And
that was the whole thing.
Bring up a fucking phone tray with a, I mean, like, you never know, dude. So back in the day, it was hard to Like, I don't even know how people did it, man. I remember doing it, but I don't really remember how it was like. Again, I don't remember. Like now, it'd be hard to do. I don't know, man. But fucking, I was never in the business world back when it was like, man, you got to contact somebody.
Yeah, you need a pager and/or Gary Busey. One of those two things would be helpful. If you don't have either of those two, I think you're in trouble.
I mean, yeah, I mean, as long as you go for the land crab, my guy with a mind like you, go for the land crab, dude. They have an excellent seafood up there. Anyway, man, but you got to give him a little kiss before you leave, or do you?
I think he did. Let's vote here. Who thinks Duke had to give him a little kiss? I think he did. I'll go with 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he did. I'm gonna definitely say he did.
I think he probably did.
Yeah, man. You know what? I think because there was a reaction coming out of it, I think he did. But I think the questionable thing is, where was this kiss planted, dude? Now, was this a planted on the lips? Was it planted on the finger? Little kiss on the cheek.
It depends on
I
we
mean, was
need
it on
more
your
information, I
asshole
think.
lips? Was it, well, it makes a
I think we need
difference
more
when this kiss
information.
was planted, man, So let's
Well,
figure that.
that leads us into kind of the final kickoff, the last act of the flick here, where you got to get a new car, right? So they get a white Cadillac, or at least Duke gets a white Cadillac, and it's very nice if your credit cards are still technically worth something. And then everything when he gets to the DA conference, I love how he's slumped down here trying to take a little hit ski. And then obviously the scene where he walks in and they do the x-ray shot of the drugs in the suitcase he is carrying. Extra great. And then shout out Christopher Maloney, Sven as the front desk clerk here, just telling the old white police chief he could pound sand.
Of course, I could hear what the clerk was really saying.
Listen, you fuzzy little shithead! I've been fucked around in my time by a fairly good cross-section of mean-tempered, rural, crazy cops. And now, it's my turn. So fuck you, officer. I'm in charge.
And then Raul Duke just rolling up like right in the front of the line, open beer, no problem.
It totally got yeah, he's rocking the VCR too, dude. The visible cocaine residue. He's got the VCR.
Oh, the whole yes, basically from about like 45 minutes onward in the flick, like just absolutely like yes, white residue on the nostrils the entire time. Christopher Maloney kills it here. And this is way before like Law and Order, JBG. Like no one knew Christopher Maloney here, and he absolutely slays this.
Yeah, it's such a another great cameo. Again, a lot of people early on in their careers got an opportunity here, and it's cool to see him go on and do other things, but he was good in this one.
Yeah, man, and the dude who plays the cop there, man, like we've seen him in tons of shit. Like, hey, and he usually plays a cop. I don't know.
Yeah, he's one of those dudes.
I know
Yeah,
one of
he's
those. I don't know
that
if I
dude.
know him in anything where he doesn't play a cop, but I recognize him in a bunch of shit where he does play a cop. So he was kind of the perfect dude to throw in there. It was like that asshole on vacation with I'm still a cop, being a little, gung ho kind of guy about it, man. Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I mean, but and Sven's reaction was awesome, and definitely the narrative behind it was brilliant as well, man. Yeah.
And then Duke goes up and finds out that Dr. Gonzo's already up there wearing some weird shit with Lucy, who has a lot of weird paintings of Barbara Streisand. Not gonna lie, this is a part of the flick and a part of the book that is kind of dark. Not one of my favorites, but I guess necessary to prove that in the Fear and Loathing there must be some darkness. I would say, especially that conversation they have in the hallway about ditching her or what they could do with her. Chick, it's dark, dude.
It's not one of my favorite parts of this movie. It's probably my least favorite part. It's dark and it's a little creepy, and I don't love it, man. It's a little weird.
I find the comedy in it, at least from taking it from Hunter's standpoint there, man. That's where you can find the comedy. The dark comes from the Gonzo standpoint or whatever. But then it's
Right.
Right, I couldn't tell if he was doing it to like just to try to shock Dr. Gonzo like into like reality, or if he actually meant it, like pimping her out or whatever.
no, I think he was telling that to him for like a shock value of like, oh fuck, I fucked up, and let him trying to make him realize, oh shit, what am I doing here? Yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, somebody would say some crazy shit, dude. I mean, just to get shit done. It doesn't, I think it was more one of those where like, man, I'm gonna say some off the wall shit because like obviously that's not what I'm fucking gonna do, but like this could be but let somebody know that could be a thing to make them realize that they need to fix the situation that's going on. I guess I don't even know if it's the right way to explain it, but
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. After that, we get the very cool bit where they're actually at the district attorney's conference, and we get this dude, L. Ron Blumquist. I'm assuming like kind of L. Ron Hubbard takeoff here, where he's doing like a basically a reefer madness joint.
You will notice that I have distinguished four distinct states of being in the cannabis or marijuana society. They are cool, groovy, hip, and square.
Shout out to Michael Jeter, Drop Zone. Obviously been in a bunch of other things. He's another one of those dudes that's that guy. But I love this speech by him, and obviously like how outdated is like the reefer madness type of thing about drugs here, which fits perfectly with our heroes.
Man, and Margaret Thatcher.
Do you think the anthropologist Margaret Mead's strange behavior of late could be explained by a private marijuana addiction?
Good question.
I'm not really sure I can answer that. But what I can tell you, sir, is if Margaret Mead, at her age, smoked grass, she'd have one hell of a trip.
Yeah, it just it's a little bit random, but it's a nice way to kind of set up like not only did these guys get away with the thing the last time, now they're going to go to a convention with cops and do shit where they steal the gas mask, where they steal the samples. Like you actually see they steal like the briefcase with all the samples in it. They steal that shit.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. It's like just when you think this couldn't get any crazier, then they do this.
It's bold, dude. It's bold.
The whole movie is basically all gas, no brakes, dude. It's just
all gas, no brakes.
Too crazy town.
And then it's a nice bit of improvising. Like always are, and then like, all right, what if you do this thing, and then all of a sudden you're at the DA conference and you're doing adrenochrome, and you have Lucy calling on the other line. Johns was like, you know what? I'm gonna take care of the Lucy thing. He puts a glove on to call Lucy. I had no idea why that works so well for me, but he's so serious. Like he puts a glove on to call Lucy, and then the way he acts it out, obviously, is great. But the idea that he put the glove on to call her, I don't know why, but it always kills me.
Dude, it makes sense at the time. Sometimes sometimes you got to put a glove on or take a sock off or something. I mean, whatever it is. If it works, man. If it doesn't, you try something else next time, man.
Within that context, like that's right when Duke starts doing all the adrenochrome. Dude, when he imagines like what the judge and jury would do to him.
I don't know what they done to me, but I remember it was horrible.
They gave you what?
LSD.
Castration! Double castration!
Castration.
Dude, that's like it's so high, right? It's like the judge is like 10,000 miles high, and they're all like manacled into this little
perfect trippy courtroom scene, dude. Perfect trippy courtroom scene. That's like an Alice in Wonderland courtroom scene.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland. That's a perfect,
perfect trippy courtroom scene, dude. Yeah.
And then they start doing the adrenochrome, which is not really real. Like it's something that Hunter S. Thompson made up. Like don't actually go out there, people, and try to get a gland like that. But dude, the way he's like, oh, just don't do that much of it. And then he starts small, like he does a drop, and then a little chug, and then all of a sudden it switches, right? Because throughout the flick, for the most part, it was Duke who was semi-stable, and Dr. Gonzo who was crazy, and now it switches. Dr. Gonzo is kind of stable, and our Duke is just losing it.
Those are beautiful fucking tits, man. Yeah. Anyway.
But seriously, I mean, that sets it off where it's so crazy that you don't know what's happening, and then he wakes up in that suite you saw with the pink carpet that was so beautiful. There are like things built of mustard and ketchup on the wall. He is wearing not only waders, but a towel. A tail. Where do you get that tail?
I don't know where the tail is wild, dude. But I think it's a cool throwback to kind of the reptiles and the dinosaurs from the beginning.
Oh yeah, it's a weight-bearing tail though. That's not something you just randomly find.
Dude, and you're also talking about like a couple of days. You're in a couple of days now, deep on a big time bender with super high potent psychedelics like LSD and fucking
I'd be
mescaline
so scared
and
if I couldn't
fucking,
remember the
you know, I
last
mean,
couple days, dude.
and you're just tripping balls, like hard tripping balls, probably to the likes of none of any most people haven't seen. You know, I mean, this is
Adrenochrome, yeah, that's the idea, I think, is to set it out like no one can understand like how crazy this is.
so little shit is that's what I say. Looking for the little shit. Look at some of these you know, things in the backgrounds and whatnot, just the way they position things in their rooms, even like, you know, why are the TVs stacked like that? Or why is the, you know, what is this over here? There's so many things that you can look at in this movie, and almost every scene of the movie, especially when it starts getting into the hotel rooms, like trying to piece together things that they have forgotten at this point, because it's gotten to that point, you know, where you're forgetting
Dude,
shit.
the TV stacking bothered me. I'll give you that, dude. Like, who would do that? Like, even back then, why would you not just stack the TVs nicely? Why would you be such a like? Why would you do that? Just stack the
It's a
TVs
lot.
nicely.
There's a lot of things, dude. You know, I mean, you could tell they had tried to divide the room with things like, you know, like curtains and whatnot, or tapestries, or whatever the fuck it is, you know, and just everything. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny when you look at the remnants of the room from after the fact, or both rooms, really, and you know, just try to piece together what had happened in the moments that were off camera, you know.
I mean, the room itself is just so fucked up, though, right? Because we saw it before with that nice pink carpet, and now there's like legit like a couple of feet of water. You see like there's like an elephant. It's got like syringes stuck in it. They're like the king suite. It's just a smoldering like there's just a hole just smoldering in the middle of it. Like they wrecked that shit beyond. I couldn't do that if I tried. I don't
Dude,
think.
how do you even fuck up a hotel that bad? Like, god
There's a mannequin
damn.
in the toilet. There's a weird half mannequin in the toilet with a 357 Magnum in the toilet as well.
Only thing worse I've ever seen on TV or in real life, but mostly on, because obviously I never seen anything this fucking crazy, you know, hotel room in Vegas in real life. But the only thing I can relate is in Very Bad Things. That's only worse because there was a dead body involved. That's the only thing that separates. In this movie, you think about it, man, oh man, it might even come to that at one point, but good thing it didn't, you know. I don't think it was gonna, but anyway, man, you know, there was that weird difference between the two, man. Dead body, dead hook, or in Very Bad Things, trashed, completely trashed hotel room.
Not only do you get to see all the weird shit that happened, but you get some flashbacks of all the other things they did. One thing I don't know that I can buy Jamie G, like when they convinced that maid to go undercover, do you really believe that she believed them? I was believing it until they offered her $1,000 a week, and then I was like, oh yeah, this lady just thinks they're like on drugs.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, $1,000 a week in 1972 or whatever. There's
That's
when
too
the, yeah,
much money. That's just way too much. If they would have said $28, they had her, I think.
yeah, way too much money.
But what was it? It wasn't a hair dryer. It was it wasn't a curling iron either. It was some kind of weird product maker. No, some kind of.
They actually went back to the bazooka, and let's get on to brass tacks. How much for the ape soup? Do you believe that that Raul Duke actually bought the ape and then he bit the head off the bartender, or did he never actually buy the ape?
You know what, man? I'm gonna go with you. Never actually bought the ape, man. But you know, I mean, I, I would say the same thing. If I saw somebody in there, I was thinking, man, I'm thinking about getting an ape. I would be like, hey, man, how much for the ape? You know, whether I could afford it or not, or even was
If it was just for a gun, like I had a gun, I got an ape. I think I'd rather have
I
an
just
ape
want to
than a
know, like,
gun.
hey, man, if I ever decided to want to think about buying this ape from you, like, how much would it be? You know. So yeah, I could see that happening, you know. And then did he actually do it? I don't think so. But would I put it past him? Absolutely not. Might have, you know.
Probably right up there with the Lucy stuff is when they go to North Vegas at the very depths. This is a scene I remember from the book being very, very dark. When you have the waitress here, the backdoor beauty, emphasis on the question mark. Very uncomfortable. I think it's meant to be so. This is a flick where your heroes not necessarily supposed to be your heroes. You're not supposed to aspire to be these dudes. I think they do a very good job of putting the not necessarily the question mark, the exclamation point on that here. It's so intimidating the way that Benicio del Toro does it. It's just I just remember that being a really dark scene when I read the book. Like when you read the book, that is like the darkest scene. I feel like the diner scene is like the full on bottom out scene, and you need it, but not necessarily fun.
Definitely a good way to explain that, man, for sure. You need it, but it ain't fun. It's part of
Right,
it.
because it's the fear and loathing. There has to be, you have some good drug fun, but on the other hand, there's always the other side to the coin. One thing that is a little bit of fun is when Duke tries to get Dr. Gonzo to the airport, can't go the right way, almost runs into Lucy, just cuts across the world and pulls him right up to the plane and says, "Hey, whatever, don't worry about it. Just say you were hitchhiking and someone dropped you off." It's as good as you're going to get, really. He goes back to the hotel after that and, writes the end of the story. But
I love that you get the revisit from the hitchhiker and the revisit from the Lucy, both when they're trying to like flee the scene. Like it's fucking hilarious, dude.
yeah, almost Pulp Fiction when he hits Lucy, like right there. Jamie G, any thoughts on here on the end portion of the flick?
I don't know that you can really end this in any other way. We talked about it a little bit earlier. There's not like a winner or a loser. There's not a thing that has to happen other than, I suppose, him kind of finishing the story, right? And so I thought that this was a fine way to do it. And then of course, kind of him driving back to LA there. I mean, that's kind of what it is, man, right? He finishes it and something good comes from it within the book.
And that's all you can really do is hope something good comes from it. And I think we've had a very good time discussing Fear and Loathing, but we want to keep it going a little bit. And one thing we didn't really get deep into was the supporting stars. So let's just do a little bit of a rankings thing here. This could be fun. Just going to try to rank our top 5 supporting stars from Fear and Loathing. It's going to wind up being a little bit more of a top 6 because at 6 we have Lacerda, played by Craig Bierko. Very fun. We all love Lacerda. Kind of fucking crazy. At number 4, I love that we both got here the car rental agent, the original one in LA, tied with Sven, the front desk agent played by Christopher Maloney. Very good. I thought I was going to be alone on the car rental agent mountain, but y'all both came through with me.
God damn it, you got my friend.
We love that. At number 3, we have the other Duke, played by Hunter S. Thompson in the flashback scene in San Francisco. Obviously, very, very cool. And then we have a very, very, very simpatico response to the final 2. At number 2, we have the hitchhiker, played by Tobey Maguire. We all had him at number 2. And at number 1, we have Gary Busey, the patrolman. Absolutely awesome. Maybe he will give you a kiss. Maybe he will not, but
I give you a land crab, dude.
very cool. Those are supporting stars. Lacerda, the car rental agent. Sven, the other Duke, the hitchhiker, and the highway patrolman. That brings us to the dream team. Pretty simply stated, we just like to bring people in from other things and substitute them in. We'd like to make our dreams come true. So let's start off. We got a couple of concepts here. I don't know that we can really do better with recasting this story, but maybe you'd like to kind of pick some, characters to go into Vegas and do a drunk thing. Maybe you could take Hunter S. Thompson, Raul Duke, insert them into another show, or maybe just, add them to another show instead of substituting them from another character. I would say, like, if we were just going to go to Vegas, we want to party with some people. Dude, how about Rickety Cricket and Kenny Powers? I feel like that would be an incredibly fun time. They both know their way around some drugs. I think that would just be a wonderful union of people. And dude, how about Uncle Baby Billy? Obviously, super fun. And Barf from Spaceballs. Uncle Baby Billy will bring the cocaine. He's got Barf. He likes kind of a little bit of, animal thing going on. I think that could be a lot of fun. Soup, you got something here? Like, other than the characters we get in Fear and Loathing, who would you like to see hang out in Vegas, do a couple drugs, have some fun?
Man, you know what? I kind of want to see. I kind of want to see Freddy Krueger and Ford Fairlane.
Wow, that's a weird combo. That's
That's a
crazy.
lot of that's some cocaine and knives right there. But I think that's probably in line with it, dude. How about one we might like? How about Richie from The Bear and Frank Reynolds? Like I feel like they would hang out, they would do some drugs, and they would have some fun. I think that would be pretty obvious. How about if you wanted to swap like Raul Duke, Hunter S. Thompson into something else, dude? I'm not really a fan of Friends, but how about if you just replace the David Schwimmer character with Hunter S. Thompson on Friends? How much better would Friends be?
A lot.
Or even Frasier. Fuck Frasier. Let's just put fucking Hunter S. Thompson in there. Raul Duke and Frasier as Frasier, dude. Way better. Am I not wrong?
Nah, I love that, man. I love that, dude. I like the addition of Hunter S. Thompson and or either way with Dr. Gonzo as characters in Scooby-Doo episodes, man. Like, how cool would that be, dude?
Oh,
I like that too.
I would be totally there for that. If you were going to go super gangster as far as shit I don't really care about, how about you substituted Raul Duke as John Arbuckle in the original like Garfield joint where Bill Murray played Garfield? That way he would be like John Arbuckle and you still have Bill Murray as Garfield. I feel like that
And
would be
still
cool.
Bill Murray, who played Hunter Thompson too at one point. So yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay.
And Soup, this is just for you. But how about in Wayne's World 2, instead of it being Jim Morrison who kind of leads Wayne, how about it's Hunter S. Thompson?
Yeah, I could get behind that, man. I like that. That's cool.
Or the half naked Indian, but I'm assuming, it would work better as Jim Morrison.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, Hunter Thompson would be definitely better. I like that, man. That's a good call, dude. I also like Raul Duke / Doc Gonzo in Ghostbusters, man, because then you got Bill Murray there too, right? And then you got Gonzo and Duke as like, hey,
Oh, you can replace. I mean, replacing Rick Moranis with him would be super interesting.
I wouldn't want to replace Moranis.
Right, that's the problem. You'd want to supplement him.
Yeah, just have another couple characters. I mean, I guess they could be good or bad guys. In Scooby Doo, I like to think that maybe they get into Scooby Doo episodes and they help with the gang, finding and whatnot, but they're their own thing still too. But they're still like solving the mystery also, man. In Ghostbusters, it could be like either side, I guess. They could be with them or against them, and it could work out however they want to make the Ghostbusters movie. But either way, I think it might be cool, man. Yeah.
I think that's cool. One way I'll try to beat you. Remember in like Happy Gilmore, you have that one dude who would just like jump out and say "jackass." What if that was Hunter S. Thompson, and he would just have to like do "jackass" in his own weird way or whatever?
I like that. Yeah, that could be cool. Definitely.
I feel like that could offer up some interesting opportunities.
Bastard. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Jamie G, what do you think, man? If you had to maybe say add in Raul Duke, Hunter S. Thompson into somewhere, like where would you like to add him in?
Yeah, man, I would really like to add him in on Stranger Things. And he shows up as himself, a journalist who's investigating the nasty vibes and strange happenings in the town, dude. And I think they could actually take Stranger Things to new heights with him in there. So I think that would be the perfect fit.
That's a pretty good one here. I'm looking at it. And you also had one that might work for The Walking Dead. What was that one?
What if you swapped out Raul Duke as Rick in The Walking Dead? And the whole time he's just trying to figure it out, but just the mannerisms and stuff would make it kind of some much needed humor. And The Walking Dead to me got really boring after the first couple seasons, so that would always I think that would keep it from being boring.
I feel like you just want to hear him say Carl, like Carl.
I do.
Carl, like, all right. So honestly, for the most part, I'm there for it. I do want to actually reread some of the Walking Dead comics. I did really enjoy those. I thought they were pretty great. But yeah, not as impressed with the quality of the late season Walking Dead, and not watch many of the spinoffs. I hope they're good, but not seen many of those.
All right. Well, welcome to the award tour. For the first stop, we're honoring Elaine Bennis, creator of the second greatest system of all time. All praise to the Dennis system. as number 1. We do pay homage to Elaine by determining if our featured review is in fact sponge-worthy.
So you think you're sponge-worthy?
Yes, I think I'm sponge-worthy. I think I'm very sponge-worthy.
You know you're nuts with these sponges.
Run down your case for me again.
She said I wasn't sponge-worthy. Wouldn't waste a sponge on me.
Mills, update us on the sponge supply and tell us if you think Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is sponge-worthy.
Well, Jamie G, I think it's probably sponge-worthy as far as the current sponge supply. I have 6.5 sponges. You have 5.0. The soup has 2.0. And, I'd like to do the full Rick and Morty thing here where I will like burp, Morty, I think we're going to all say it's worthy, but let's save the time here. This is fucking sponge-worthy, is it not?
I'm a hard yes. I'm a hard yes. We know soup's a hard yes. Yes, it is sponge-worthy.
Yeah, there's just no way around this one. Let's not beat around the bush here. Full sponge-worthiness.
100%. And now that the worthiness of Fear and Loathing has been established, it's time to give her a grade. Hail Scroob, we grade everything we watch on a scale of 0 to 100 space bucks. Soup, how many space bucks can you spare for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? And don't worry, you'll have additional 46 space bucks to cover lunch, gas, and tolls.
Whether I could cover gas tolls or not, this thing is worth a lot of space bucks, man. It's Fear and Loathing, dude. And it was, it's a super awesome, very important movie to me. Been a big part of my life. So it's getting a full-on 98 space bucks, man.
Jamie G, the soup has set the bar at 98 space bucks. Where do you register in? Remember, you can still cover lunch, gas, and tolls.
Absolutely. I'm giving it 95 space bucks. It's awesome. I love the movie. It's a great one. 95 space bucks.
I already had it written down on the paper. It was the year. It was the time. 98 space bucks. So that's where I'm at for Fear and Loathing. It is worthy. We are giving it a ton of space bucks and don't know what else to say. If you come this far, you must enjoy it too. Thank you and phrasing.
Before we dive into what we're watching next, it's time for a little questions 3.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
3 questions. What if you get a question wrong? Then you are cast into the gorge of eternal peril.
Ask me the questions. I am not afraid.
And we shall watch and pray.
This is the questions 3, and here's how it works. I have written the questions for Jamie G and the Soup Deucer. Those 2 contestants are awarded 1 point for each correct answer of the 3 questions. Whoever gets the most points is the winner. In the event of a tie, we have a tiebreaker. The winner gets a sponge. I get a sponge for writing the questions. And an additional 1/2 sponge is awarded for anyone getting a clean sweep. Gentlemen, if you wish to cross the bridge of death, you must answer me these questions 3. All right, dude. Soup, at the Bazooko, the Circus Casino in Fear and Loathing, what would a 1-pound steak dinner cost you? We see it established there. What would a 1-pound steak dinner cost you?
Damn. Oh, man. $7.
He says $7. All right, Soup. Question number 2. How much prize money did the winner of the Mint 400 get back in like 1971 money?
I think it was 20 grand, man.
He says 20 grand. And finally, what were they drinking at the Pogo Lounge early in the film when they get the call?
Singapore slings with mezcal on the side.
Singapore slings with mezcal on the side. Jamie G, you are up next. Here are your questions 3. Jamie G, according to Dr. Gonzo, what do you need when the mescaline isn't working?
Ether.
He says ether. Question 2. What type of shirt was Raul Duhl wearing in the 1965 San Francisco flashback scene? He specifically notes what type it is.
It's a flannel shirt, red flannel shirt.
And question 3. Which of these is not one of the 4 states of being in the Cannabis for Marijuana Society? A, cool. B, far out. C, groovy. D, hip. E square?
Square.
He says E square. All right, it is time to grade the Johnskis. And question one, Soup said, at the Bazooka, what would a 1 pound steak dinner cost you? Soup said $7. Correct answer, $6.95. We're giving it to him. That is
Oh, right there.
correct.
Yeah.
Rounded
Wow.
it right into form. Jamie G, question one for you. According to Dr. Gonzo, what do you need when the mescaline isn't working? You said ether. Absolutely correct. Question two for the Soup Deucer. How much prize money did the winner at the mid 400 get? He went with 20 grand. The correct answer was 50 grand. So he is still stuck at 1 point. Question two, Jamie G. What type of shirt was Raul Duke wearing in that 1965 San Francisco flashback scene? You said a red flannel shirt. It was a red woolen shirt.
Red woolen shirts, dude. Men
He
in red
said
woolen
woolen
shirts.
very, very, very specifically to the point where you can't get it for that one because it was super specific. So
Pretty specific
each
woolen.
have
Yeah.
one point here, and then we are moving on to the Soup Deucer here. Question three. What were they drinking at the Pogo Lounge early in the film Beverly Heights Hotel? Singapore slings with mezcal on the side. Soup gets that one. That is 2 points. Jamie G, question three for you was which of these was not one of the four states of being in the Cannabis for Marijuana Society? You had A cool, B far out, C groovy, D hip, E square. The answer was actually B far out. And you said E square. So the Soup Deucer has taken it down. He is going to get one sponge for this. Not a clean sweep, but quite good.
Nice job there, buddy. The final order of business here is to determine the featured review for our next episode. Normally, we have a whole process that we go through, but for once, it's not more complex than that. This is a repitch, so we're all going to nominate a former nominee that was not selected, but rather rejected. The nomination order will be Mills, followed by the Soup Deucer, with me, Jamie G. Esquire the fifth, running anchor. Because we're saving the very best for last. Mills, send us on our way. Hey.
All right. The only rule is that if you want to throw someone else's nominee in there, you have to ask for permission. So, Jamie G, I'll ask for permission. Can I pitch the Fifth Element?
Oh man, it was on my list of things.
If you say no, you have to pitch it. That's the rule.
You could pitch it. You could pitch it.
I am going to pitch the Fifth Element because this joint is just so much fun. You have peak Bruce Willis. This is over the top Luke Besson. You have I always feel bad. Mila Jovovich as the obviously the Fifth Element herself. This movie is so much fun. Great cast, way over the top. It's incredibly well done. It's an action flick that has satire elements. Gary Oldman just chewing scenery as a villain. You have goddamn Debo from Friday as the president of the universe. Jamie G, you pitch it yourself. I'm going to repitch it, not because I think you did it badly, just because I couldn't vote for it at the time because there was something else. Actually, I think I did vote for it, but now I can't vote for my own shit, but I am pitching your shit. I am pitching The Fifth Element. I think it's an awesome movie. I think it would be a ton of fun to talk about. That's why I'm pitching it over one of my own. You must know that I really, really want to do this joint. I had other shit available. I'm going with one of Jamie G's.
Love it,
Jamie
dude.
G, Soup, you are up next. Your repitch options, assuming you are not going for one of ones we have pitched, are the Tacoma FD pilot, Wonderland, The Wall, The Last Days of Frankie the Fly, which you pitched twice, Me, Myself, and Irene, The Great Outdoors, Labyrinth, How High, Stand By Me, Devil's Rejects, and Judgment Night. Not the soundtrack, but the movie.
Well, it would be both in that case, I would guess, to a certain degree.
Kind of, yes. You would get both. That is a
little
little bit of a double whammy.
Yeah, man, tough one, dude. You know what, man? I think I'm gonna. You know what I think I'm gonna do, man? I think I'm gonna shift gears. I think I'm gonna shift gears, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go comedy. I think we need a good comedy right now. And I'm going with Me, Myself, and Irene, man. This is a good one. This is peak Jim Carrey, dude. Not in a super silly Ace Ventura mask-ish kind of role, but more of like a real person, still fucking hilarious kind of role. Like, I don't know if that's even the right way to say it, but anyway, different role for him coming off of those kind of movies or whatever, man. Fairley Brothers joint, man, it's hilarious on every level, dude. There's so many aspects to this movie that just make it like right up there with any, a good number of their movies, like Kingpin or something about Mary or whatever. There's a lot to unpack with this movie. A lot you could talk about on a lot of different levels. Very fun comedy, and it's Jim Carrey being, a really hilarious version of Jim Carrey, but in situations and stuff that are great. You got Zellweger in there, man. I mean, she does an awesome job in this movie, man. And everybody in it's good, dude. So definitely my recommendation, man. That's my repitch. I'm repitching Me, Myself, and Irene, man. And who knows, man? It might be them Ivy League some bitches right there, man. So let's go for
All right. That brings us to Jamie G. Your options are outside of what we have pitched that you could dip into. The pilot for Inside Job, the pilot for Arcane, two Netflix shows, The Human Centipede, Heathers, which you pitched twice, Toy Soldiers, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from LA, Better Off Dead, Back to the Future, Mobsters from 1991, and The Fifth Element, which I've already picked, and you've assured me you will not pitch. So that's what you got.
Woo, man, I'll tell you, it's a hell of a list. It's a hell of a list. I really want to do a couple of these. Better Off with Dead would be so much fun. Back to the Future would be amazing. But I'm gonna go back to it. And honestly, Toy Soldiers is really underrated. I know we just did a Heathers. We just did, but guys, I gotta do it, dude. I really want this to come true. I gotta go with Big Trouble in Little China. It's just got everything, dude. American fantasy, action comedy here. John Carpenter. It's got Kurt Russell, dude. He's Jack Burton, one of the best characters ever created. It's supernatural, kind of that awesome like Chinatown. I think it's San Francisco, which has a great Chinatown. Ancient sorcerers, dude. I mean, it's so awesome, man. It's definitely a cult classic for a reason. It's been a long time since I've watched it. It was always one of my favorites. I think it's going to hold up. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I really want to do this one. Big Trouble in Little China.
That's the deal. We have our three nominees. Jamie G is nominated Big Trouble in Little China. Super's nominated Me, Myself, and Irene. I have nominated The Fifth Element. We vote in the reverse order in which we nominated. So, Jamie G, you are first to vote, followed by the Soup, and I could potentially be the decider. Jamie G can't vote for your own stuff, so it means you got Me, Myself, and Irene, or The Fifth Element. What are you going for?
Man, I love Me, Myself, and Irene. It's hilarious, dude. There's a lot of great lines in that one. But I'm going to go with The Fifth Element. It was on my list. I pitched it for a reason. So I kind of got an easy out here. I get to, no matter, I get to vote for my own in a way. So take advantage of it and go with The Fifth Element here.
Soup, up to you. Big Trouble in Little China or The Fifth Element?
It would be an easy call for me to go either way on this one, man. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Big Trouble in Little China, man, because, it's already been a second pitch. It is a good one. And now I think it's going to level the playing field. It could be a clean sweep. I could have went clean sweep, but I'm going to do this to make it more interesting. So.
All right.
Big Trouble in Little China it is, man. And I like that movie a lot too. So yeah, we're down. I think everybody likes that movie a lot, so it doesn't matter. Fifth Element is definitely a great one too, though, man. But
all three, you can't go wrong. There's no wrong answer.
That's what sucks, dude. You already checkmated both of us by having it your way. Either way, it fucking flows. So
I mean, it's not Burger King here. I mean, let's be honest here.
I mean, it's either
just
way.
Market 8, dude.
No,
Either
I mean
way,
there is a little of like I could send it to the wheel, but I am going to choose to be a magnanimous God and say, you know what? We'll finally give it to Jamie G. We'll do Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh shit!
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm excited about this one, guys. This is going to be a fun one.
There is a hidden world where ancient evil weaves a modern mystery.
What's going on here? Is this some kind of
Magic. The darkest magic.
They call it Little China.
Finally, we shall bring order out of chaos.
It's where Big Trouble was waiting for Jack Burton.
Who? Jack Burton. Me.
Jack?
Jack?
Jack!
They told him to go to hell.
You make one move.
And that's just where he's going.
This is gonna take Cracker Jack timing, Wang.
1, 2, 3. We may be trapped. Total concentration. Safety. Oh, yeah. You ready, Jack?
I was born ready.
Way to go, Jack.
Jack Burton's coming to rescue your summer.
Hey, what more can a guy ask for?
20th Century Fox presents Kurt Russell in John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China.
It's all in the reflexes.
Gotta get going. I don't want to miss 1 second of that movie.
Is it that good?
It's the best goddamn movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
Dude hangs down.
I don't want to miss that.
Excited to watch this one. It's been a little bit. Was always a favorite as a kid growing up. Excited to rewatch it. Excited to see how it holds up and getting into a little bit of action. It's going to be something different. Our last two have been a little weird for us with Memento and then Fear and Loathing. So it's going to be cool to get back to doing a classic 1986 cult classic, baby.
I love how you were just saying like Big Trouble in Little China is like back to normal, like not that it's like magic and like all.
You see that shit every day, right? Chinese girls don't come with green eyes, man.
I hope I see that more in my everyday life. And I think that's what we're going for here on Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We want the fantastic to become regular. We're doing our best I can to make it happen. Thanks for checking out the show. Find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff and on the web at dudeswatchstuff.com. Very simple, very easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Crucial to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure to hit the thumb. This might not be backcountry, but I am Magna Mills. He is Jamie G. That's Soup Deucer, and he's that guy, not that crunchy. Thanks again for checking out the show. We'll be back again to do some fun stuff. Make sure you're subscribed to check it out.
Thank you guys for checking out another episode of Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We're just dudes being the dudes, talking about the dude.
Us dudes abide, but don't forget to bring your fly swatter, man, and anything else you may need for the trip.
We're all wired into a survival trip now. No more of the speed that fueled the 60s. That was the fatal flaw in Tim Leary's trip. He crashed around America selling consciousness expansion, without ever giving a thought to the grim meat-hook realities that were lying in wait for all those people who took him seriously. All those pathetically eager acid freaks who thought they could buy peace and understanding for $3 a hit. But their loss and failure is ours too. There was only one road back to LA. US Interstate 15. Just a flat-out high-speed burn through Baker and Barstow and Purdue. Then onto the Hollywood freeway straight into frantic oblivion. Safety. Obscurity. Just another freak in the freak kingdom.